go, and then
Yeah, and
we'll
I'll
get our man on here.
our first guest. Yeah, talk loud, sorry.
Welcome into the Diag on Central Campus at the University of Michigan. We are WCBN Sports, and we have kind of a special event of sorts. Good? Good? Comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Introduce yourself. What year are you? What are you studying? Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm Bowen. I'm a sophomore in LSA. I'm studying history and economics, and I'm from the Philly area.
Nice.
Philly area,
Oh,
okay. A lot
Philly
going on in
area.
the Philly
We,
area.
economics is nice, too. Do you mind standing up real quick?
Yeah.
And then, okay, now go ahead. Perfect. So what do you want to talk about? Obviously, from Philly, any professional
Let's
teams
talk about the
interested,
NFC East.
Okay.
Perfect.
Let's do it.
That's a great starting
That is
spot.
an excellent topic. So what's on your mind about the NFC East?
Obviously,
Philly 2-0.
Giants did not look too hot last night.
Mm.
I think I just don't think Daniel Jones has it in him.
Interesting.
Honestly.
What'd you think of the contract when he first signed it?
The contract they signed Daniel Jones.
This last offseason, they gave an
Yeah, I
gave
heard
him
about that.
an extension.
I mean, I don't think they had much options, to be honest.
Okay.
Like, I think it was the best thing the Giants could do, but I don't know. I just don't think Daniel Jones is him.
He's definitely not him. I'll tell you that. So I'm assuming you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah,
You're from Philly,
of course,
right?
Of course.
You got the Commanders, and you got the Cowboys. So realistically, the Cowboys are probably your only competition to win that division.
True, but the Commanders could surprise.
Commanders 2-0,
yeah,
right? They're
Yeah,
looking
Commanders
good.
are 2-0. They've
Mhm.
got a very solid defense. I think Sam Howell is. I think people are sleeping on Sam Howell. Obviously, gonna have to see more games, but they're 2-0, which is granted. They played the Cardinals and the Broncos, who I think have been an absolute disaster so far. But yeah.
It's funny, Bowen, because about 30 seconds after you came, our resident Giants fan, Mr. Vihan Iswar, arrived. So, Vihan, I'm going to switch out with you. We're talking NFC East. Bowen here. He's from Philly. He's an Eagles fan. Vihan from the New York City metropolitan area. He is a Giants fan. He just said that you guys looked really bad last night, albeit against a very good team in the 49ers. So, Vihan, I'm going to let you get in here, talk some Giants with our friend Bowen.
Hello, Bowen. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Great day in Ann Arbor. Great day to talk some NFL football, as always. Bowen, I take it you're from Philly. You're an Eagles fan.
Of course.
As always, the NFC East, always such a great competitive division, especially this year. Obviously, the Eagles, preseason Super Bowl favorites. There's no reason for this team not to at least make a divisional round, NFC Championship game run again. As for the Cowboys, again, obviously they are a victim to high expectations. They are often the subject of mockery for many reasons, but there's no denying they have a very talented team, especially their defense. Then my New York Giants, we are indeed a football team. Of all the teams in the NFL, we are indeed one of them. We'll get there in a minute. And then there's the Washington Commanders, very solid, underrated team. So, Bowen, how do you feel about the Eagles this season in response to other teams in the division? Do you still think their chances are as good as you made out at the beginning of the season, or has there been anything in the first 2 weeks that might have changed your mind?
I think my main worry is the offensive play calling so far for the team. Obviously, there's going to be an adjustment period with we lost both our coordinators, but wasn't impressed with the play calling against the Patriots. It just seemed like we were running headfirst into a brick wall. I think defense really bailed us out that game. And in terms of the Vikings game, I think play calling was better. Like, we weren't getting any. They were stacking. They were guarding our wide receivers pretty well, so we just ran the ball down their throats. But yeah, I'd like to see better play calling, and I think the Tampa game is going to be a big indicator.
Yeah, absolutely. So this season, head coach Shane Steichen was the key departure. He left for the Indianapolis Colts head coaching job. You, as an Eagles fan, how'd you feel about that move then, and how'd you feel about it now? Has your opinion changed?
I mean, I wasn't surprised when Steichen got a head coaching job. When you go to the Super Bowl, you're probably going to lose both your coordinators. As of now, I do miss Steichen. I think he really knew how to utilize our offense and really elevate them to new heights. It'll remain to be seen whether Brian Johnson can do the same. But as of now, I'm not impressed. But again, it's only been 2 weeks. Going to be 3 weeks this weekend. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have any concerns about necessarily some of the talent on offense, such as Jalen Hurts, obviously a major MVP favorite going into this year? He's been solid so far, but I wouldn't say spectacular just yet. Is this something that's causing you to worry, or do you think in the end things will be fine?
Yeah, I mean, there were some bad decisions on the RPOs by Hurts, but I think it's just an adjustment period. I think he'll be fine, and I do think we still have the most talented offense in the NFL.
Yeah. Now, who are the Eagles playing this week?
We are playing the Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers? Okay, so the Buccaneers are quite an intriguing team. Baker Mayfield has been tipped to have some kind of resurgence for years and years now, and it hasn't quite panned out, but now the Buccaneers are 2-0. They look like a very decent football team. Nowhere near as bad as some people expected them to be. There's still the likes of Mike Evans and Chris Godwin on that team. Do they worry you at all?
I'd say I'm a little concerned, but not very worried. I just think our team is simply just more talented, and I think this week is really Philly's week to make a statement win, like let's say winning by 2 scores or more against the Buccaneers, and that would inspire a lot of confidence in Philly fans, even though I don't necessarily believe that'll happen. I think they'll win by 1 touchdown, but not 2.
You see, me as a Giants fan, I'm not going to turn this into a rant. No, I'm going to save that for the DSR. But it's hard not to. Just year after year, the same issues can be observed in the organization. There's an inability to build on talent at the skill positions. There's an inability to build any kind of offensive line. The defense remains solid, but what can the defense do when the offense is incapable of getting any kind of progress up the field? It's just frustrating to be subject to this year in, year out, and this year I don't think it's going to be any different. I expect another 5-6 win season in tough division, tough conference, because both of our teams, the NFC East is currently playing the NFC South, I believe.
Correct.
A division that is looking a little better than some people thought it to be. You have the Falcons, full of talent everywhere. The only real question mark is at quarterback, and even then, Desmond Ridder has played pretty well, I'd say. Saints looking solid. So what do you think of the playoff picture in the rest of the league, overall scenarios? You know, how are you feeling about some of the other teams?
As for the Cowboys, I think I do think they are legit contenders, as much as I hate to say it as an Eagles fan. And I do laugh at them. I do laugh at them every year when they fail to make it to the Super Bowl. But at the same time, like, they are legit contenders. They have probably the second best defense in the NFL right now. Losing Trayvon Diggs obviously sucks, and you never want to see that happen to any player. But even without Diggs, I still think they are the second best defense in the NFL, and keep an eye on them in the NFC. And I do think they're very legitimate Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah. Off the back of the Giants losing to the 49ers last night, are you worried about the 49ers? Do you think they're the biggest competition as they are this year?
Oh, absolutely. No, yeah, the 49. I think NFC is undoubtedly going to come down to Eagles, 49ers, and Cowboys. I think all 3 teams have a very real shot at making it. As of now, I do think the 49ers are in the best position to win the NFC, and I do think as of now they are the best team in the NFC. But again, we still have a lot of football left to play, and a lot can change.
You want to say anything about the AFC?
AFC, ooh, that's tough.
Who would you not want to play in the Super Bowl right now? If the Eagles got back there, one game, what AFC team concerns you? Maybe we'll just say outside of Kansas City.
What AFC team concerns me? I think the Ravens actually look pretty hot right now. I think Lamar finally has the weapons he needs to make a statement, and he did make a statement against the Bengals last week, which I don't think that game was as close as the score suggested it. One of the Bengals touchdowns came off of a punt return. Other than that, I'd say there's not really. I just think it's too early to judge the AFC, to be honest, because there's still a lot of question marks in a lot of the top AFC teams. For example, Josh Allen, like we all know he has ridiculously high highs, but also equally as low lows. The question is what version of him will show up. They didn't really look that good against Jacksonville, and I think Jacksonville definitely should have won that game.
Yeah. I think Jacksonville's a very interesting team, very underrated.
Yourself, and then what you want to talk about today.
Yeah, my name's Dan Townsell. I'm a University of Michigan alumni of 2001, just back for homecoming.
Nice.
So happy to be back here.
Welcome back. It's are you going to the football game this weekend?
I think I'll tailgate.
Okay.
We'll see what happens with tickets. I'm not going to press the issue.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch regardless.
Certainly. What are your thoughts on the team so far this year?
I think the defense is going to be solid. I haven't heard about whether or not Will Johnson will be back or when, but I think certainly been missing his presence.
Him and Rod Moore have been missing out of the secondary so far this year, and we haven't seen too much of a drop-off yet. But as we get into Big Ten play, which starts this weekend, obviously with Rutgers coming to town, those are key guys that will have to get back.
Yeah, that's a much better way to frame it. Yeah, I think they've played lights out so far. I think I'm curious about the offensive line, in particular, how much push they're getting on run plays.
Yeah,
I do recognize that we're getting like 8 people in the box all the time, but I thought we'd still be more dominant than we have been with the run game.
Yeah, Edwards in particular has had a slower start to the season than I think most people thought, and a lot of people have credited the offensive line for that. Although you can look at Corum as well and see that he still had some explosive plays in the run game, but the offensive line's healthy, so we'll see. We'll see what they've got this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the team looks like with some more competition. I feel like the last 3 games haven't really pushed the team at all, so I'm excited to see what happens when, competition gets a little more intense and if, Michigan rises up to that and pushes their play.
So what do y'all think about the run game right now?
I think the run game's all right. I think that right now, they're really leaning on just, a couple of players and, Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum. And I think that the run game is kind of what's bringing in touchdowns at the moment. But I'm excited to see what happens when there's a little tougher defense, to see if, we can push some of the passing yards a bit and, see if some of the players, make some runs instead of rushes for some catches. And I think Rutgers is going to be the first real challenge. And it's also going to push our defense, too, I think, because they have some really strong runners and rushers themselves.
Yeah. Is anybody nervous about JJ's performance? Or do you
it's been a lot of talk about the 3 interceptions, and I think it's really interesting because the 3 interceptions, yes, while they did happen, did they really affect the game? No. I think that it was, I'm not really nervous about his play, honestly, and I think everyone's talking about it because it is kind of the first time he's really messed up this season. He had 2 really strong games.
Right.
So people like to focus on that, but at the end of the day, Michigan really did have control over that game, and while it was a slow start at the end, there was never really a question. So
No.
I'm not too nervous about JJ personally.
Are you
nervous?
A little concerned, maybe?
I think you can't make a trend out of one data point. So
Yeah,
I want to say that if there was a game where maybe he looked past an opponent, or maybe there are just a couple of things that we can brush up on, I think this is the safest place to kind of make those adjustments, those corrections, and I do think also with regards to the run game, knowing how many offensive pass weapons we have, I think if we spread it out and they keep putting 8 in the box, it's going to burn someone eventually. So I think Rutgers are probably a little bit more honest than some of these other teams are like, you can pass on us, but you will not run on us. I don't think Rutgers will succeed with that approach. But
I don't think we're just going to be able to push at the defensive line for Rutgers and just expect to break through that easily. So I think we're going to have to be a little smarter offensively. And I'm excited. I'm excited because also Coach Jim is back, and I'm excited to see. It's crazy that he hasn't been in the big house, and I'm excited to see if that changes the energy of the team and what that brings.
And you have to figure his absence plays somehow into some of the, I don't know if you call it disorganization or just the lack of play that we're accustomed to seeing. So.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I definitely think not having him is a mental block. He is such a presence. He is such a core of the character for the team. And Michigan really, I feel like the last couple of years has established their identity, and it has been sort of on the backs of having a really strong coach.
Yeah.
So,
well, I appreciate y'all having me.
We appreciate having you. Thank you for giving us your
you
time. It was so lovely to talk to you, and we hope you have a great weekend. And go Blue.
Go Blue.
All right. Do we have a next guest? Awesome. Why don't you come sit right over here and get on the mic?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
What's your name?
Lyndon.
Lyndon, I'm KG. Nice to meet you.
I'm Alex. I'm on the station. But Lyndon happened to be walking by. He's someone that Owen and I both have played basketball with many a time.
Many a time.
Plenty. Yeah.
A little IM basketball?
Oh, yeah.
No, nothing not intense about IM basketball, let me tell you.
No, nothing.
Nothing. That's intense over there. So what brings you to this table? What are you looking to talk about with us today?
Well, let's get into some NBA.
Oh, let's go.
Let's go?
Let's go.
Let's go?
All right, tell me your teams. Tell me what you're looking at this year. What are you excited for?
Whoa. Well, I guess we can go with Phoenix.
All right.
So I'm not a Phoenix fan.
Okay.
But I have some interesting takes.
All right. Oh my gosh. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Phoenix, they're interesting.
They are very interesting.
They're loaded on offense, right? With Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, KD.
Yeah.
I just don't see any defense there.
How do you feel about Devin Booker and KD's chemistry on the court? Do you think it's there? Do you think that they were vibing at the end of last season?
Yeah. Chris Paul went down, and they still won games.
Yeah.
I have no problem with those two, but there's just not enough basketball to go around for all those three scorers. You know?
Right.
So that's the issue I have. So.
Right. So you feel like they're not being fully supported, and they're kind of carrying a little too much.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. It's like, what are the other roles for the other people, right? Like, what are they gonna do if there's only, let's say, shots are going around between those three, right? Well, role players, they need to do something, right? They need to get involved somehow, right? If they're not rebounding, if they're not playing defense, they're not scoring.
You have to remember, basketball is a team sport, and it is really hard to have two superstars on the same lineup. It's hard to share that ball, and especially KD, hungry. He is hungry. He wants a ring. He wants to win. So does Devin Booker. These are two guys that are like, it's my time.
Right.
So I don't know. All these teams, this whole trend of like super packed starting lineups.
How do you feel about that?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Oh.
I don't like it. I'm not a fan. I feel like personally I've been hearing the same 10 names for the last 10 years, okay? And I'm ready for some change, which is why I am a new proud Knicks fan.
No way.
Yes, sir. I'm a new proud Knicks fan because that is a team that has waited their turn, waited their time, and they've been building.
They have.
And they have been waiting, and they have not been trying to spend their money getting a big star on their team, and they're depending on their chemistry. They're depending on, Jalen Brunson and his Villanova boys.
He's a hooper.
Jalen Brunson is not to be messed with.
He's nice.
He's great.
He's like a 3-level scorer. Three, mid-range, in the paint, he can do it all. He was fighting last season, and
I really hope this season his team backs him up a little more. I think he was carrying a little too much in the playoffs, personally.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel. I feel like these stacked teams, it's getting a little too egotistical for me.
Okay.
And that's my hot take on this Friday afternoon.
Okay.
Personally.
Okay.
I thought the Knicks were interesting last year because it felt like they shouldn't have been nearly as good as they were.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of that was just Brunson, just balling out.
Brunson?
Brunson was doing what he did in Dallas, except there was no Luka to help him out. And
he
was just the 1A on a team that won a playoff series.
Yeah. No one saw that coming.
That contract worked out better than it ever. I think it worked out better than the Knicks thought it would.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they took themselves by surprise, and I really hope they carry that into this season. You know, they're like, wait, we can vibe, we can make it work.
We can hang around.
So we can hang. So I'm excited. And, Jalen's had a good summer in the FIBA Cup, and been hearing good things over there. He's working with his old mentor, his old coach right now on that team. Yeah. So, I think he's been putting in the work. And I've heard great things coming from over there. So I'm personally really, really excited for tip-off, October 24th. Mark your calendars. I'm really excited.
Okay.
It's on my calendar. Look, you said NBA. I was ready to run.
She was ready.
This is ready. All this football talk, look, I can pretend. But at the end of the day, I can't. What about you? What teams are you looking at in the NBA?
I'm hoping the Pistons will be a real NBA team this year.
All right.
But
that's so funny.
We'll see how that goes.
I'm laughing.
Alex, are you a big Pistons fan?
Fairly. I'm from Metro Detroit. I've always grown up a Pistons fan. I think that they will be better next year just by the fact that Cade is healthy. Do I think that they will even contend for a playoff spot? I really don't know. Someone's going to have to make a jump, and
a big jump,
no? And the only person I could see making it is maybe Cade. Now that he's healthy, I don't see Ivy as making a jump. He's a non-shooter. I really am high on Jalen Duren. He's better than I thought he'd be. He's a better athlete, better defender. But
Yeah.
I'm not optimistic, but
you know,
okay, should be fun.
I appreciate your loyalty to your city, to your team.
I
can't say as much. I mean, did I abandon my Knicks for a while? Yes, I did. I'll be honest. But the reason I'm back and I am here so proudly is because my brother, for 10 years, I swear, he has never stopped believing in them.
No way.
When they throw their draft picks away, when they do the stupidest things, he is there.
Loyalty.
But loyalty goes far. I'm gonna be loyal to them now. I swear. I kind of jumped, and I was a big Warriors fan for a while.
Bandwagon.
Yeah. Look. I'll be the first to say it. I was on the bandwagon.
How do y'all feel about Steph changing the game?
I think he did.
Yeah, he did the 3-point game. Oh,
yeah, I mean,
he joined. Oh, yeah. It's kind of crazy now. I talk about this with my dad.
Yeah.
And we don't love it. Like, I think Steph Curry is a one of a kind and
100%.
one of a kind shooter,
100%.
and he changed the game. And but I miss a little bit of the scrap. I miss a little bit of the fight in the paint. I miss a little bit of the drives, and these guys are getting figured out that they can get really good at 3-pointers, and 3-pointers go a long way in a game.
Yeah.
3-pointers win.
Yeah.
And that's great, and that is the direction the game is going. That is the direction athletes are taking in, and you can't really stop that momentum. But to be fair, I appreciate a little scrap. A little fight in the paint.
Okay.
Personally, what do you feel? You rolled your eyes. You're like,
well,
oh,
no,
right.
I didn't roll my eyes. I just think it's clear what Steph has done. The other thing is, though, has anyone really replicated it? Like, Trae Young is not a Steph Curry light.
No.
He's not efficient. He's a different kind of passer. Has anyone replicated what Steph has done?
Well, you got people trying to.
Right, and people are trying it. It's just
yes.
the 3-point shot is so like. Dan and I called Lipscomb basketball last year, and a guy named Will Pruitt shot the lights off and almost took out Michigan because you can hit threes and put up points in bunches.
Man.
College three, but even go to the IM building. You got losers
100%.
like me jacking up threes.
Yeah,
I'm right there with them.
Yeah, but the thing is if you're throwing up enough of them and you're a pro athlete, you're gonna make a few of them.
100%.
Right.
For sure. So
100%.
and they're all trying. And obviously, I don't think anyone's gonna be Curry. I do think he's a one of a kind shooter.
Yeah.
He really showed us that. I had a lot of fun watching the All-Star game. When he just was going to town,
just
showing
bombing
us,
threes.
just bombing threes and giggling about it,
okay,
whatever.
Bro. Yeah, okay,
4 feet behind the line, and you're like, okay, whatever. How do you feel about it? You asked me, how do you feel?
I have mixed feelings about Steph changing the game.
Tell us.
I love the fact that he's opened everything up offensively.
Okay.
When you just play basketball, the floor is just so spread out.
Right.
That the lanes are just so simple to get through.
Yeah.
So if you're a slasher now, it's amazing.
Okay, I see that. I like that.
And
That's a
looking
good
at the
point.
3-point line.
That's a good point.
It allows you. I don't know. It allows you to dump points. On people. You know, they're trading twos. Well, I'm getting a 3, right?
Okay.
I'm getting 33% more points than you are every single time.
Every single time you score.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a big. That goes a long way.
Oh yeah,
right?
totally.
So offensively.
I mean, nothing like a clutch 3,
So offensively, I love it. The reason why I say mixed emotions is because I see a lot of kids, even college, who depend on the 3-point line.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
right.
See,
it's you can go to the paint. You can make a layup. You can pass the ball, bro.
Yeah, you can pass the ball.
You can pass the ball, bro.
Yeah, I feel it's just interesting. I think basketball culture now in general, I think, is getting a little bit I feel like it's a lot about stars being born really young now. I feel like with social media.
For social media, it's everybody can be a star now.
Yeah, anyone can be a star. And and I think a lot of sports, I mean, I'm not just singling out basketball, I think just in general social media has changed the culture around sports and building stars. In general. Yeah. You could talk about this in any aspect, any part, but yeah, I think especially with, young kids, it's changed college sports.
100%.
College sports is such a business now.
100%.
I mean, it always kind of has been a little bit, even more than ever, I think. And we're trading college, we're trading, okay, Hunter Dickinson's just gonna be traded out of here. He didn't go to school here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Okay. We have a mascot here, but we're just gonna keep chatting.
Okay.
Because no one can see it because we're on the radio.
Right.
But I think picking bringing up about like the star thing.
Yeah.
I actually feel like I'm noticing a pattern where you're seeing a lot of guys who are becoming stars in the eyes of fans, like an Anthony Edwards. For example.
Yeah.
And I think Ant's game is not really like Kobe-esque, Curry-esque, but more like Kobe-esque, and like guys who are sort of chasing the Kobe idea of just I'm gonna put whoever's guarding me, I'm gonna put 30 on your head.
I love that.
And the ball's not like the ball's not like I watched a bit of the FIBA World Cup.
Yeah.
And part of like the United States team issue was the ball didn't move, and you had guys like Ant doing their one-on-one, and they lost.
Yes, they lost 4th.
And like I don't know if I see a guy like Anthony Edwards, as good as he is, ever being a 1A on an NBA championship team.
No. I think I agree, and I think that you can't underestimate an all-star. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's really special when a star can do that. I think Curry's really good at that on his team.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important. It should never be underestimated. And your power as a star is your ability to lead.
I think that's a great point, and just looking at other like intangibles as well.
Yeah.
Right. Just looking at like
intangibles.
Yeah.
Never sleep on the intangibles.
You cannot sleep on.
You can have the stats, you can have the numbers, but if you're not lifting up your team, you can't do it all yourself.
Can I be honest?
Yes.
That's one of the like caveats I have for like KD.
Yes.
Because
I was gonna ask.
Like I love him as a player, but like.
Right.
Can he lead somebody?
Right.
Like
yeah, and I think going back to how this started with you and the Suns, like I think that that's something they need to explore is like, can Booker be that?
Yeah.
Because if KD can't, Booker's gonna have to. But if they both can't, then it's just gonna be the two of them shooting and passing to each other.
Exactly.
Barely even passing to each other. It's just gonna be them, and they are so good. Like God, they are really good.
They're talented.
They are talented. I love watching KD play. He looks like a little alien to me sometimes. When
They're all aliens.
They're all aliens.
All aliens. Like him, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, like
all aliens.
Like,
all aliens. And I love watching them play, but if you want to win, you got to be a team.
But that's why I think this team is going to be, because it felt like last year, like as they were playing the year, they didn't feel like a team. Like it kind of felt like a.
Yeah.
You just had these three guys together.
Well, last year there was a lot. Sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
Well, no, I was just saying, it's like this year we're going to see if a team that just has three guys who are just going to take the ball, bring it up, go score. And that's going to be the most of the offense. Can a team like that win in the NBA? Like, that's what we're going to see this year. I mean, there hasn't really been, at least that I can, like, think of a team with, like, three legit, like, stars. But they're, like, ISO. They're all, I mean, Booker and Durant, and I guess Beal too. Really, they're all ISO scorers.
Yeah, I think that star-studded lineup also got proven to be not great with the Nets. I mean, look at the Nets. The Nets had three of the. They got rid of all of them. They were like, this is not working.
Crazy.
That was crazy. That was a tough day.
Crazy.
That was a tough day because I was a Nets fan for a little bit there.
What's funny is I lost all of them. I was a Nets fan when they snuck into the 8 seed with a team of like D'Angelo Russell, Rondae Hollis, Jefferson, that Spencer Dinwiddie, that little lineup of guys that didn't have a superstar was interesting to me.
Yes.
And
yeah, because without a superstar, you're like, okay, I gotta step up.
But they also played together.
Yes.
Right. They had each other's back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that new look Nets. No. Like even though they were like all friends and stuff, like they were never really connected.
No, they were never really connected. And I think, again, kind of going back, a lot of these older players, not older, but players that are like really looking to solidify their legacy in their career with a ring. They are just trying to go wherever they selfishly think they can win.
Yeah.
Like, how many teams is KD? I mean, like, how many times are we going to move around? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times are we going to try something and it's not going to work? You need to stay somewhere. You need to commit. And you need to, like, build the chemistry, put in the work, and stop just expecting that you bring your star talent somewhere and you're just going to, like, be a LeBron.
Like, this is not AAU. Right?
No,
like,
this is not.
You can't just put out 4 like all-stars
this is
out there
not.
and just
No,
win.
you
like,
can't.
No.
Yeah, and the only person who I think can really like carry like that is truly LeBron.
Not
anymore.
Not anymore.
But yes.
But give the man a break. What is he now? Like 38?
Like 50.
All right, valid.
They're like 50, yeah.
You could say that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think he was the only. I mean, even so, like I have a lot of respect for him. He never stops fighting, never stops playing. I mean, it was really tough to watch them get swept. Personally, because I am just a big LeBron fan, and it was tough to watch him get swept. But he was fighting.
Is he the GOAT?
No.
Oh.
Are we getting into this territory?
I'm just putting him out there.
What'd you say?
No, bring them. So for Club Fair, those two had a sign that was "Who's your GOAT?" and a bunch of people started arguing with them over LeBron and Jordan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it depends. Personally.
Okay.
I mean, you could go back and forth, but my gut is to say that Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
Yeah.
That's my gut.
Yeah.
What about you?
Ooh. That is a loaded question.
It is a loaded question. You could go a lot of ways with it.
Honestly, I say Bron. I look at he's scored the most points ever in NBA history.
Yeah, that was a crazy day.
We go to the playoffs. He's broken like every single record ever.
Yes.
And I don't know.
Oh.
Is he the GOAT?
Is he the GOAT? Sorry.
Anyway, yeah. Points, looking at stats, looking at abilities, looking at the way he actually leads with less.
Yes.
To me, that counts.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it.
Okay.
But if people say MJ,
yeah, I mean, that's how I feel too. I mean, it's so hard to put two people like that against each other.
Man.
And the reason I like to lean towards MJ, I think is just I love players that have that crazy fighting mentality that he has, and that's kind of I'll stop at nothing. And I think that's really rare because you can have that and still not perform. But if you have that and you can perform, you kind of become unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I feel like his run with the Bulls and also what he brought out of his team and that trio of time, I just think that's the crux of culture. Basketball culture is that time.
That's a great point. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Please.
Yeah. No, dude was psycho.
And I love that.
He was psycho.
And you know what? I love that.
Yeah, but you make a great point. In terms of basketball culture, in terms of shoes, in terms of deals, in terms of just NBA becoming huge, Jordan was the NBA.
He walked so all these little micro influencers on Instagram can run. And that's all I have to say on that.
That is so true.
And and to this day, I don't know. I don't know if you watched The Last Dance. Who?
Bron. He ranks his children though. Sorry,
LeBron.
LeBron.
We have a fan walking through, and she came through and said that LeBron is a family man.
No, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders.
Oh. I thought she said LeBron. Did you hear LeBron?
Yeah,
okay.
Deion. I mean, Deion, he ranks his children, so there's that. But I think
all
he's
about
a family
man.
Yeah.
All about a family
Ranking
man.
the children.
All about a family man.
He definitely is a family man. I'd agree with that. He's unique.
Anyways,
NBA discussion. Are we talking about LeBron here?
We're talking about the GOAT.
The GOAT.
We've opened up. Michael Jordan.
Good.
Michael Jordan. That's what I said.
I said Bron.
He said Bron.
I said Bron.
At this point, I don't mind people having LeBron as a GOAT.
Exactly.
I don't mind. I don't agree with it, but I don't mind it.
I don't mind it.
That's what I say about MJ. Either MJ or LeBron. Those have been the greatest two players I've ever seen.
And just because you like one doesn't mean you have to hate the other.
Exactly.
No, I could never. I hate that mentality. You can have both.
Right.
Exactly.
You can like both.
Yeah.
For sure. I just do personally lean towards MJ. I think we were just talking a little bit about his influence also just on the greater picture of basketball. Kind of untouchable. One of a kind in that sense.
Bro,
but
shoes, TV deals.
You guys factor in the off the court stuff for the GOAT?
For the GOAT?
I don't like doing that.
Yeah.
The impact is fine, but as far as the
the
branding, the reason that I think MJ is the GOAT is because of the dominance.
Oh, the
finals dominance.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous. The individual dominance too was crazy.
Yes. I agree. Well, that's what I mean when I think about him. I think about just his fighting mentality, and you can't have dominance like that unless you are locked in for 5 years straight.
Yeah.
You have to be locked in to kind of keep that strength, keep that momentum going. That doesn't just happen no matter how good you are.
That's
for
taxing.
5 years straight, 4 or 5 years straight. How was it? 4 in a row? 4 with a break 5?
I mean, I think it was 3 and 3, right?
3 and 3.
So he had 6 total. But I will
crazy.
say LeBron in 2018, the post Kyrie Cavs, he was the best individual player I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
ever.
crazy.
I mean, it's 2018 playoffs, just willing that team.
Absolutely.
I think that's the greatest playoff run.
And that's a big reason why I say LeBron is the GOAT because he's had to do more with less. And that's what I say. That team is terrible.
Right.
But he got them to the finals.
Yep.
He dropped 51.
He dropped 51?
I'm just looking at all this and I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know. So
unlucky for LeBron. They played the greatest team of all time back to back. So who knows? They probably would have won at least one championship.
At least one.
Without another All-Star on that team is just ridiculous.
Isn't that
Kevin Love maybe, but I don't even know if he was an All-Star.
Yeah, I mean, what brought us to this conversation was me saying that LeBron, I think, is the only star player in the last 5 years that can really carry a team. I think that he's the only person who has the talent and the skill to make up with like working with less, and I think he's the only one who can properly do it, and he's proven it multiple times.
I mean, that team without him is like they're near the bottom of the standing.
Yeah,
sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, absolutely,
like
easy.
He led the team in points, rebounds, steals, blocks, like everything, every category.
As we transition into this new era of basketball, I want to hear your thoughts on this. How do you look at the landscape of the NBA as far as player rankings, team rankings, potential dynasties? Where do you see the future of this league going? Who are some of the guys, younger guys, that you're excited about as a basketball fan?
Jason Tatum.
So we got a Celtics fan that just subbed in here. This is Dan. He started the show with us.
Yeah.
That's a great question. I think so. Now that you actually say that, I actually really like to see the Celtics. Like, I like the way they play.
Yeah.
Right. They're young, but like they play great offense. They play great basketball, and I love that. I think also a team that I'm really excited to look at, or at least a player, is like I like Anthony Edwards. Like I like the way he plays. Yeah, I like the way he plays. But again, I also like Jalen Brunson. Like he is a 3-level scorer, 3 mid-range paint, and he can pass. Like that's what you want in a point guard today.
Definitely.
Right. So
I love Brunson's pace. I also love that he operates inside so well. Like I feel like that's a lost art now.
Right.
And that teardrop is so beautiful.
It's so that floater.
It's floater
nice,
man.
Like
his body control is insane.
Hey,
you mentioned about like getting into the paint. It's all about like pace and feel and tempo. And he plays at so many different speeds that he can create angles to get into the lane, get to the floater, whatever it might be. And the pump fakes are
in a weird way
elite.
I think Brunson's one of the most unique players in the league because he's 6'1". He's not overly athletic. He's not overly fast, but he's still one of the best players in the league. He's probably top 25. And just like you said, like his pace, his ability to operate inside, his body control, it's fun to watch. And he was not a star coming out of college. Like he was a great college player.
Yeah.
No one thought he would have succeeded at the NBA level. I love that we have a player like Brunson near the top of the league right now.
Yeah, and I think like even just looking at how the NBA is changing now, like skill matters. Skill is number one. Like size is still like amazing. Like you still want big dudes, X, Y, and Z, but like if you're skillful, you can succeed at any height now.
I mean, do you think the Knicks can win? The ultimate question though is like, can the Knicks win a title if Brunson is their best player?
No.
And so the thing is, I don't think they can.
The thing about the NBA, you gotta have a superstar.
As important as skill is, I think you still need skill combined with the right size. And I think that Brunson would be a great number 2. I think you can say that. But you'd need a quality number 1. And that's what makes it tough. That's why point guards they get those big deals. But that's why the market for Lillard isn't that great. Because I don't think you can win a title with Lillard being your guy either.
The time is just like slowly decreasing as Lillard stays on the Blazers.
Yeah, right. And he's old. He's older,
sure.
But than Brunson. But I think it's a guard thing. Like they're kind of like the running backs of the NBA.
Right. I mean, look at who are the great young point guards in the league right now? Like, I guess Luka you can count as a point guard. He's got great size. He's got great vision. Trae Young, great shooter, a lot of range. Tyrese Halliburton's a guy I like a lot too. He's kind of like a combo guard though.
He's big.
Fox
got that speed. He's like 6'4" as well. Like it's hard to be in the market for a point guard for sure.
Unless you play like Steph.
Right. Unless you
play like Steph.
Yeah, and I think this leads to a bigger discussion that like I think basketball is just more positionless now.
For sure.
And I think the naming people point guard, shooting guard, small forward, whatever is just a way to like simplify it, when in reality each player has their own unique traits that enable them to play in different ways and kind of fit teams, and teams are being built in a certain way to shoot a lot of threes, have a lot of length, and because of that length be able to play good defense. So your point guard, air quotes there, might be 6'6"
or 6'11",
and
like
more
Jokic.
or you like Jokic or LeBron. Truly
LeBron,
is a point guard
by
the definition of a point guard who gets listed as a forward every year. So it's like, and like Giannis is a center, right, or a power forward, right? What is Giannis? He's not a small forward.
Giannis, he's what I like to call a rover. He's a guy that doesn't really fit like traditional wing, big, or guard. Like he's positionless because he's a 6'11" freak athlete with length that can dribble.
He's just he can't really shoot. He's a really good player.
Yeah, he's a great player.
He doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to shoot. Giannis
doesn't need to.
I did see recently Giannis, like, there was some doubt about him extending his contract with the Bucks, which is interesting.
Yeah.
That would turn the NBA world upside down for sure.
So.
All right, thank you for coming in, sir.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thanks for talking NBA with us. We always like talking ball.
No problem.
Thank you, sir. We're going to do a little transition. You want to come in here?
Awesome.
Come right in.
WCBN Sports, live from the Diag.
Live from the Diag. Put your hot takes in the chat. We can address them for sure. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great.
Good?
Ooh, whoopsies.
No worries. Tell us your name, where you're from if you'd like, and your sports fandom.
Yeah, I'm Rami. I'm from southeastern Michigan, and I'm a Detroit sports fan through and through.
Yes, sir.
All the way.
Over there.
Yes. So what Detroit sports on your mind right now?
Right now, the Pistons are on my mind.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm kind of hopeless for this season, to be honest.
As you should be.
Yeah.
I'm a Pistons fan as well. There's no reason to have hope.
It's not looking good, man.
It's really not. Especially for the short term, it's not. Yeah.
Like, the moment I see Joe Harris check into a game, I'm going to be honest, I might just cry.
Yeah.
Like, I might just cry.
But there are brighter things for Detroit sports right now. The Lions, they did have a rough loss against Seattle. It was painful to watch. But they started the season off hot. High expectations for this team. Are you a Lions fan?
Yeah, for sure.
How do you feel about them this season?
Like, I don't think that we're like a Super Bowl team, but I think it's going to be like a real, like, emotion-changing year.
Mm-hmm.
And every franchise kind of needs that since we've been in the dirt for so long.
Yep.
Like, I think just like a simple playoff win, even if we get blown out in the divisional round, like just like a win in the wild card would do so much for the city.
Definitely.
And so much for the organization. It would be pretty rad.
Yeah.
I will say I have like serious doubts about our draft.
This
year, yeah.
This past draft. So you didn't like Gibbs at 12?
No. Like, I love Gibbs as a player. He's electric.
Yeah.
But like, not to like feed into the discussion, but like I really question a running back in the first round. Like, I also don't like Bijan at 7, just because that's like kind of a crazy reach.
So it's more of a like draft kind of theory or model of how to draft.
That's fine.
And that in your mind, running backs are not players to be taken in the first round. And I think I agree with that sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
I also agree with that. However, when you contextualize why the Lions took Gibbs, it's like a recycling of what Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift were last year. And it's just a new and improved version. Now, unfortunately, David Montgomery is hurt. But, like, seeing it all work together in week 1, like seeing Gibbs, he only had like 8 touches, but the explosiveness was there, the speed was there. It looked like a good selection.
Well, and I think you can...
It's too early. It's very early.
And you can find... I guess the argument for Gibbs would be... is kind of a counter-argument to guys like Montgomery. As Montgomery's a good player, but you can find dudes like Montgomery, like Jamal Williams. Maybe not from a culture perspective, but from a physical traits, physical tools. Gibbs has some different speed, catching ability, motor, like that kind of stuff. He's a different playmaker,
definitely,
for sure. And I think those guys are a little bit harder to find in the draft,
for sure,
in free agency. But back to your point on the draft, who would you have taken then at 12? And kind of off of that too, what are your thoughts on Jack Campbell at 18 then as well?
Yeah, so like my ideal draft would have been, instead of trading down from 6, I think you take Jalen Carter.
Ooh.
Like, I don't know the
he
behind the scenes.
He would have been there if we stick to their spot, right?
He would have been there, yeah.
He went at 9 to Philly.
Yeah.
Yep. He's looked electric.
Yeah, he's looked good.
Been awesome.
And everybody kind of knew he was electric.
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of a consensus, like, he's the best talent in the draft.
Yep.
It's just the off-the-field stuff.
Yeah.
But like, the personalities that we have in the locker room right now, I feel like we could have made it work. Like Dan Campbell's a kind of guy that really instills a winning culture in people.
Definitely.
So I feel like, we could have cleaned up the act. And then at 18, we wouldn't have been able to do it, but I would have liked to trade up to get like Christian Gonzalez.
He's been awesome, man.
He has been.
He's a Pats fan.
I'm a Pats fan, and that dude is so smooth, so fluid. Like 6'1", can cover. He was matched up against Tyreek Hill last week. He obviously got some help because Hill is arguably one of, if not the best receiver in the NFL right now.
We can have that discussion after.
I mean,
this
we can.
one.
I'm not suggesting he is.
I want
I'm
to have
not
that
suggesting that he is, but very fast, and Gonzalez hung with him for a lot of that game. 5 catches for 40 yards for Hill. So,
and you think about the Lions' corners, especially with C.J. Gardner-Johnson now maybe out for the year. Yeah. Gonzalez would be nice. I guess hindsight is always 20/20.
Right.
But I like that pick. Gonzalez was a guy I wanted going into the draft. So
because he's just like this is gonna sound. He's so like long and wiry.
It's a good description.
He's a different build than most corners.
Right.
He's just different. Like he's a different athlete than most corners.
Yeah. He is. Yeah.
I agree. But also part of it's like he's looked so good because he has Bill Belichick, who's like the DB whisperer. Yeah. Like he could make me look great. Dude, you know, like. He's just kind of magic. Though I'm sure he'd be great on the Lions. Just like generally, he's pretty rad.
Yeah. So thoughts on Jack Campbell?
I'll be frank, have not been watching the All-22 film
okay.
on the linebackers, but he seems pretty good.
He seems solid. He's a good tackler,
he's a good
player,
and he could be a dude that's there for 12 years. You know, like he'll be like, oh yeah, the Lions, Jack Campbell, like that's just their middle linebacker for the next decade and a half.
Yeah.
Good player. Any other Detroit takes, Pistons takes, Lions takes?
Tigers takes.
I
don't want to give it Tigers takes. Yeah.
It's cover for second place. There we go.
I believe. The Wings are going to win 7 cups in the next 15 years. I can see the vision.
The Wings.
Yep.
Okay.
Eyes are planned, man. I have faith.
Give me your prediction. Sorry, going back to the Lions here. I want to hear your prediction. Sure. Falcons this weekend. 2-0 team coming to Detroit. 1 p.m. What do you think?
Big game.
Huge game. I think it's a must-win. Because then you have Green Bay on the road that next Thursday.
Desmond Ridder sucks. I think is what it comes down to. So, like, if Desmond Ridder can cook our secondary, I think it's over.
I think Bijan might run over our defense.
Yeah, our running.
Bijan's been
low-key. A lot of people were, a lot of experts were kind of high on the Falcons, and I didn't see it, but they're a better team than I gave them credit for. Granted, they've beaten 2.
They could win the South. Not
great teams, but Atlanta, like, if Ridder can play mediocre football, they've got Drake London, Bijan, Kyle Pitts, if they ever figure out how to use him right.
Some good pieces on
defense. And it's a quietly good defense as well.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Atlanta's a good team, but do you think it's a must-win this weekend?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, if the idea is winning the North, getting a home playoff game at Ford Field, you've got to win this game.
But I think that with the Vikings struggles and the Bears being the Bears.
What about the Packers, though?
Well, is our Packers 2-0? 1-1? 1-1.
They're 1-1.
Okay, so then, yeah, I'm not going to call it a must-win, but if you want to feel comfortable about the division with 3 to 4 weeks left, then yeah.
The Packers did lose to the Falcons last week, right? In Atlanta.
Yeah, like barely.
So if the Lions win this week, they're all right, front seat in the division, especially then if they go on and win week 4. But I think must win might be a little strong. That's just my take. Again, I'm not a pure Lions fan, but from an outside perspective, that'd be my thoughts on that.
I think I agree with you, like, record-wise. Like, if we don't win the game, then we can make the playoff. But, like, emotionally, like forecasting-wise, like, if you lose this just, like, bodes badly for the season.
Right. Well, and it's such a crash from the high that was beating Kansas City at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate, like, that's why it really feels like a big game is because, like, we started off, the Lions had such a great opening performance, and then to follow it up with kind of a somewhat classic Lions kind of
unfortunately,
fold
like.
against Seattle last week, and then another loss to Atlanta would be kind of a tough 2-week stretch.
Definitely.
For sure.
And we've always had our struggles with Seattle, like last year I think it was 48-45, another one of those kind of similar feeling games.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's a must-win for sure. Yeah. And not just for, like, 1-2 is an ugly record, but, like, for the emotion of this team, for the outlook of this team, how this team is feeling. Seattle's a fine team, but if we can really get back on track this weekend, that could bode well for the future of our season.
And I think this is less on the Lions and more on Seattle. I think that they're, like, a very overrated team.
Interesting.
At least, like, coming into the season. Like, Geno's good. He's better than, like, Goff. He's like
same tier. I think he's same tier.
Same tier, right? He's like in that tier 2, tier 3 of QB.
I think Goff might be elevated because of what he has around him. And I think that's why he's so great. Like, he works – I think he's an amazing system QB for what the Lions need.
That's fair.
Yeah,
fair
I agree.
enough.
Like, you take Goff out of structure, and he just kind of falls apart.
Definitely.
Like, he's got feet of molasses.
Right. What happens is the Goff you got the first year on the Lions. That's what happens when you're structureless. Like, I think he's great, and the quarterback's the most important position in football. But he really needs those pieces around him, that coaching around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are. We're on YouTube right now, live. WCBN. Heck yeah, man. Hell yeah.
That's awesome. Just got some fans out here surrounded.
It's great. It's a great scene out here. Listen, 6 to 6:30, Monday through Thursday. We got. Yeah. Have you actually? No way. That's funny.
I can see the mic if people want to get talking.
Who wants to hop in next? Does anyone want to hop in?
Do we have?
Yeah, I mean.
This is on YouTube.
Do you want to have a have a spot? Sit down, give a take real quick.
I don't want to interrupt them, Mike.
Not many. You'll be all right.
So we're doing a little bit of recycle. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on. You can take your bag off if you want.
No, it's chill.
Okay.
So do I just talk?
Dude,
yeah.
It's not gonna get
so
stolen.
like, sports like saved my life.
Okay.
Like they're so.
You're talking.
Yeah. Basketball like took me out of the gutters, and like they gave me opportunities that I never would have experienced without it, and I'm so thankful for whoever created that sport.
That's Mr. James Nate.
Yeah.
You can thank him.
Thank you. Is he alive?
I highly doubt it. I think it's
I think basketball was from like a while ago. But
So, all right, we got a quick one there. Who wants to come in next? Do you want to come in? I heard you talk about the Lions. Come share your thoughts. Cowboy fan? Okay.
I'm on the radio. Any chance you can slide under this cord? Appreciate it.
Right?
You're perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Tell the audience your name and your sports
My name's Donnie Weismiller. I work at Scorekeepers.
Oh,
You might not have heard about the place if you live here in Ann Arbor or go to Michigan.
We're students. We know.
But online, my persona, my little alias there is the Pigskin Wizard.
Ooh,
I like
that name.
The NFL. I love guessing. Of course, right now I'm in downtime. I'm a graduate student here, so I put a lot of effort into researching the NFL throughout the week. I watch the games I don't watch on Sunday. I watch the condensed versions and stuff, to get a feel for it. And well, the Lions this week are actually my lock.
For winning.
Money line, yes.
Good.
But if you're a little scared of the Lions, I recommend doing the spread with the Falcons because, last week the Lions' third down defense was atrocious. It was bad. What's his name? K9 did not. He didn't rush for 100 yards or anything, but he was great on third, and he had those 2 touchdowns in the red zone. So, and I don't know if you guys heard of Bijan Robinson, but
he's pretty good at football.
And the Falcons are a very run-heavy team, so I don't know. What do you guys think of my lock pick here? Am I overestimating the Lions? We got a small sample on them, so.
Well, I think we were just talking some pretty Lions-heavy conversations past few minutes. I think they're a good football team. I think Atlanta is sneaky better than people think. But a lot of the narrative is that the Lions must win this game for sort of emotional purposes of the team. It's a team that's trying to win the division for the first time in a while. It's a team that feels like they should be in control of the division. So I'd expect a much – you mentioned they were bad on third down. I'd expect a cleaner game from the Lions. So I like that pick.
I'm interested to see what happens with the running back situation this week. Obviously, with David Montgomery taking most of the snaps the last few weeks, and then obviously Jahmyr Gibbs coming in now. David Montgomery is injured. I think he's not been labeled out just yet, but I know he's trending towards that way. I'm really interested to see how they utilize Jahmyr Gibbs this week, and even Craig Reynolds, because they've been used to having David Montgomery as the every down back, and then Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield catching those passes. So when you have a pass-catching primary running back, like the Cowboys have, for example, with Tony Pollard, how are you going to utilize the running backs differently this week than what you probably previously have done this season in terms of how you've been utilizing your running backs? What do you think about that, Donnie?
Well, last week, it's overreaction. I'm not a Lions fan. I live here. I follow the Lions. But I was kind of just thinking, wow, they took Jahmyr Gibbs. They're hardly using him, and they could have had Jalen Carter, and that guy's I'm not giving him his golden jacket yet, but he's looking pretty solid for the Eagles, unfortunately. But, I mean, I feel like the Lions' offense didn't use Jahmyr Gibbs as much as they should because he's a first-round pick. And, I mean, Reynolds had a great game, 2 yards, but, like, he's, their third option at running back.
He's going to be their second option this week, yeah.
And so, I mean, there's my concern with that. But I feel like the Lions, as you said, this is a must-win game for the Lions. If you want to tell people this isn't SOL, you know, we lost to a pretty good playoff team in the Seahawks. We lost to Geno Smith. But as for the Lions, yeah, it's absolutely Dan Campbell's reputation. Tell us things are different right now is with the Lions. So I agree with you and your say on Gibbs as well.
Yeah, well, Donnie, trying to change direction just a little bit. I mean, obviously you're a Cowboys fan.
America's team, baby.
I'm a Cowboys fan as well. And obviously the Cowboys, who have been rolling to this point to this season, just did lose Trayvon Diggs, obviously, to a season-ending ACL injury. I just want to quickly get your thoughts on what do you think that means for this Cowboys defense? Do you think they can still recuperate and still make that big push that we're all hoping for this year in the Super Bowl? Or do you think it really is detrimental to this team's season?
Okay, I'm not Skip Bayless. I'm not a hot take guy.
As a Cowboys fan,
How about them Cowboys?
What is your thoughts on this?
Okay, I've always been a critic of Trayvon Diggs. He's a boom or bust corner. I think the corner position in the NFL is a bit overrated because with the Cowboys, you have an elite pass rush. And an elite elite defensive line can make a mediocre secondary look good in the NFL. And the Cowboys are also pretty deep in the secondary right now. Now, if we lost another guy, I'd start panicking a little bit. But I feel Trayvon Diggs is an annoying loss, but it's not a critical one.
I agree. I mean, I think Trayvon Diggs at least was playing really, really well this year. I think he was playing, honestly, kind of to the level we thought he'd be at least playing in terms of a cornerback position. He wasn't just going for all the interceptions anymore. I think he was playing some pretty good lockdown defense the first few weeks of the season. Obviously, losing him is going to be a little bit of a problem, just not knowing what the backup situation's like with the Cowboys. I mean, you have, obviously, Israel McQuam who can come up and play some corner. You have, some Marquise Bell. You might get a guy off the practice squad. You know, Eric Scott Jr. too. So you have some options, but obviously they're not Trayvon Diggs level. So I'm really interested to see, Stephon Gilmore's going to need to step up. Deron Bland's really going to need to step up. And then whoever that third corner is really is going to be put in a big role where they're going to see, obviously compared to Trayvon Diggs. It might be a little unfair to begin with, but we'll see how it works.
I'll panic if Josh Dobbs for the Cardinals looks like Joe Montana.
Well, that's
on
what
Sunday.
and he looked pretty good last year against the Cowboys with Tennessee. That's one little concern that I have is Josh Dobbs did look decent against the Cowboys defense last year.
But since we're on the topic of the Cowboys defense, since we're here at the University of Michigan, Mozzie Smith, he's a defensive tackle. He's really great, and he's honestly been a huge part of the Cowboys defense. He's made Micah Parsons look good and Leighton Vander Esch. So
yeah, 100%.
He is. He'll be starting now because Trayvon Diggs is down. Deron Bland is being moved to the outside, and Lewis is going into the slot. So
how? Yeah, what are your thoughts on Tony Pollard for those that?
Well, I mean, he's a great running back. I don't think he's gonna be in Dallas next year. I think we're just gonna go to the draft. The thing is like the problem with the running backs is just so many good ones.
Yeah.
Like I just put Reynolds on my fantasy team because I lost Chubb and J.K. Dobbins. So yeah. That's football. Fantasy football is all about adjustments, not who you can draft.
What with the Diggs injury now, how do you think the Cowboys can compare, or like how do they stack up to Philly? Because obviously Philly and San Francisco, the two kind of beasts of the NFC. Where does Dallas kind of rank among those teams, and how do they match up?
Well, the Cowboys play San Francisco in 2 weeks. I'm going to go to San Francisco first. I'm honestly leaning towards San Francisco because I don't really know how the Cowboys are going to be able to cover Christian date your daughter McCaffrey. He's like, he's great at running the game. He was running down the throats of the Giants last night, and he's really good in the passing game too. So I just don't know how the Cowboys are going to be able to contain that. That's like the one weakness I see. And then Brock Brady is looking pretty good with the checkdowns.
He is looking good. He works perfectly in that offense.
Yeah, he does. I think you could put a lot of quarterbacks in the league in that offense, and San Francisco would be clicking.
He does what he needs to be. He's a game manager,
right?
Like Tom Brady.
He doesn't turn it over like it's.
Okay, the Tom Brady slander.
I like this Brady slander.
I mean, Brady if he's a game manager, he's so above and beyond elite at it that he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
Well, if you want to, the most Bradian win, the most Bradian win, last week was Kenny Pickett with leading his offense to 12 points and then relying on a defense. So
yeah, did Kenny Pickett have a game-winning drive?
Nope.
So then it's not very Brady-esque.
I'll meet you guys in the middle. Brady always had good defenses. He's undisputably the greatest player of all time. Undisputably. We're talking Skip and Shannon.
I'm actually he's not my GOAT, but I bend the knee that he's.
Who is your GOAT?
Who's
your GOAT?
I don't really have one right now. He's looking like Patrick Mahomes. It's just so amazing.
He has 1/3 the amount of Super Bowls that Brady
I mean, like in the 4-year span that he's been, his 4-year span is incredible for a young player. I always hope he keeps it going.
Yeah,
I'm
hard,
excited.
As a Brady supporter, it's hard to deny that Mahomes has skills that Brady doesn't have, never had, and you can project it out as Mahomes being the potential GOAT.
Yes,
but
projection.
I think to not even acknowledge, if you're just gonna suggest that he's the GOAT now, that's fine. But if you're gonna suggest that Mahomes is the GOAT, you have to compare that to something. And if the comparison isn't Brady, then I think your comparison
He's the closest
is faulty.
one in contention right now.
Okay.
But it's early to tell. But I bend the knee to Tom Brady being the GOAT by default. But when it comes to his play style and all of the, I've been watching football for 20 years.
Yeah.
All of the, how should I say, luck that has gone Brady's way. That's where I'm like, no, check downs and tuck rules. No, thank you.
Interesting. Fair enough.
Am I a villain now on this station?
No. Look, people have these takes, and there's obviously a sense of luck. I think luck comes to those who prepare, but also when things go well, teams get lucky. You can't deny that Mahomes hasn't been lucky at times in his career.
Absolutely.
It just gets
coin toss.
It's not as
the holding call in the Philly.
It's not as looked at as much because his career isn't over, and it's still week by week kind of building on it. But no, you make some valid points.
I will say though, when it comes to undisputed GOAT, when it comes to taking advantage of other teams' mistakes, that is where Tom Brady is undisputed GOAT. Atlanta Falcons just forgetting how to play football.
Yep.
The Seahawks, just the Legion of Boom. They're kind of overrated. Nobody really talks about how many games they've actually blown in their time.
Well, who blew that Super Bowl? The Legion of Boom?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Interesting. To be fair, the Patriots did go score 14 points in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl.
And then it just came down to Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll,
Pete Carroll.
We got beast mode in the backfield, and we're just going to throw out.
Pete Carroll admitted, I think he came out on a show recently with Richard Sherman, and he said to make sure we had 4 plays at the goal line, we had to throw it once. And they saw Belichick go goal line defense, so they're like, all right, now's the time to throw it if we're going to do that. And Patriots were just prepared. Butler made a play.
The rest is history.
It's obviously, in hindsight, maybe the worst call.
It's why I hate the Seahawks. I just hate them. Like, you gave Tom Brady another ring.
So you hate Tom Brady so much that you hate the Seahawks.
Okay, hate is a strong word. I hate the hype, the legacy that he gets without actually. If you watch the film, you look at the games, you look at his stats. Like, I feel like if he was any other place, he would have just been like a spot starter.
What's interesting though is and that's fair. I think Luck obviously.
Well, he won a Super Bowl in a different place.
That's an excellent point as well.
Never on the strength of the offense. Actually, his best seasons on offense are the years that he lost the Super Bowl.
Right.
Both against the Giants.
So in that sense, then I was just about to say, the greatest season of all time. It could have been was a few minutes away from occurring with him at quarterback when they beat the Giants, or they could have beat the Giants. And you want to talk about luck? Talk about a helmet catch.
Oh, absolutely, David Tyree.
Is that luck or is that just hand strength?
Thank God that happened.
Like that's just.
if we're gonna talk about like luck as a general term, then I think you got to conclude that a helmet catch is lucky. It's not like, oh, I'm just gonna pin it against my helmet and think
and
and
if you
make
see
this play.
that play, if you see Eli Manning, he nearly gets sacked twice.
Manning almost gets sacked twice.
But that's just the game, though.
Right, but I think so. Then to that point, luck is in football. So then to use luck against Brady, I think, is unfair.
I don't. The man is the Antichrist.
Give us an example of Brady being lucky. Like, are you talking about individual moments, or are you talking about
like the tuck rule would be lucky?
Let's go.
I think that's more lucky than the helmet.
Let's go to his Super Bowl appearance, 2011 season, the AFC Championship game against the Baltimore Ravens, who won the Super Bowl the next year. But great Ravens defense. First, Joe Flacco, Torrey Smith just drops the ball in the end zone, which would have been the game-winning touchdown for the Patriots. So then they bring out to tie the game with a field goal, right? Billy Cundiff, who had been perfect all season, easy field goal, shanks it wide left, and Brady benefits. It's just like it's like the stars aligned for this guy. And then, of course, the Super Bowl, again, that was another great Patriots team, high-scoring offense, probably one of Brady's best seasons, and they lose the Super Bowl, thank God. But, it's just like one of those moments. It's like nobody can be this lucky.
I think to that sense, though, like luck comes into play on a higher scale when you're involved in bigger games more often. And Brady was in a big game every season that he played. And so therefore he's going to get moments of where he's lucky or moments of where he's unlucky. And we can focus on the luck because in theory he maybe was lucky more often because he has 7 Super Bowls, but I think you can also give him credit for going to 10 and giving himself the opportunity to be lucky, to be a winner, to have those.
It's not just him, though. It's just the teams around him. Like, those were loaded Patriots defenses. Bill Belichick needs to be given credit for, like 28-3 is a Bill Belichick moment. He made the adjustments in the halftime that shut down that Atlanta Falcons offense. I just think that I just feel like not Tom Brady personally, but people give him more credit than he actually deserves, and that's what rubs me the wrong way.
What made the Patriots so great, I'm going to bump in here as like a third-party
Go ahead.
observer.
They're great teams, no lie.
It wasn't about Belichick. It wasn't about Brady. It was about the multifaceted system that worked flawlessly together
perfect.
For 2 decades. And that, to me, is evident because look at Belichick now without Brady.
And the AFC East is much more tougher now.
True, but Brady's teams wipes all of these AFC East teams.
I don't know.
Right,
I like Josh Allen, the Bills.
I think Brady never in the playoffs.
Brady never played a division.
You know that being a Cowboys fan.
I mean, the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers, they had, the Ravens, great defenses. Yeah. I mean, Indianapolis Colts. For a while, they had the Tennessee Titans and Vince Young, but then they had they just had those. Now, the Colts were pretty unchallenged myself. Peyton Manning was just a choker in the playoffs. And then out in the West, I mean, Phillip Rivers was a choker. Jeez. I don't know.
I mean, Brady was good for a long time. There were a lot of different teams in the league throughout his career. Let me ask you this, though. Dan, it's the Patriots fan here.
That explains it.
Who are the quarterbacks? yes. Who are the quarterbacks that gave Belichick's defenses the most trouble? From your personal observations over that dynasty.
Over the dynasty or just in general?
Individual
I think
quarterbacks.
Right now we struggle with running quarterbacks.
But during Brady, that was less popular.
Exactly. And so I think that's why I think now if you want to talk a little bit of Belichick's struggles, he can still cook up a defense, but his inability to recognize that offenses are now based on speed and playmaking at the wide receiver position, I think is costing him and costing the offense and costing the team games. So long term, he had troubles when he played Vic. He's had troubles with Hurts. He's had troubles with Lamar Jackson. I know these are kind of newer guys. Russell Wilson was an issue in that Super Bowl for a little bit when he would scramble. Anytime a quarterback can get out and move, that gives Belichick defenses a little bit of trouble.
Well, as someone I think I know the Patriots pretty well. I mean, see, my goal in life is not goal in life. My priority is always know things about other people's teams, to have conversation. Nobody wants to talk about my team.
Definitely.
I want to talk about your team.
Love that.
The Patriots, I watched that Sunday night game. I felt that the Bill Belichick still has it on defense. They really slowed down Miami in the second half. But when it came to offense,
their offensive personnel was
yeah,
so bad.
like they don't have the Tom quarterback anymore. They
exactly.
Like Mac Jones just isn't Tom Brady, and
is Belichick partly to blame though? I mean, he's the GM as well.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to spend money on the offense. When Juju Smith-Schuster is your best option at receiver, right. I'm sorry, you got beat in free agency.
Yep.
So
Ramondre's great though, big Ramondre fan, and their offensive line is like what, mid.
And if anyone was expecting Zeke Elliott to like have a pre-contract Zeke Elliott season, like, no, that's not going to happen. He's washed up.
All right, we're gonna cycle right now. Thank you so much for coming on. Our
Absolutely,
resident Cowboy
my pleasure.
Fans.
Pleasure.
Good luck to you and
amateur expert on the NFL.
No, man, professional. You've been great. Thank you so much.
All right, so I'm back. Alex, KG will be joining me in a moment, and we are going to be joined by another man, the myth, the legend, Eric.
Hello.
Another one of Alex's
another person, yeah.
I am basketball
I hoop with
recruits.
at the IM.
That's right. How we doing? Pleasure to be here.
Doing good. It's a great day on the Diag to talk about some Michigan basketball. Is that
yeah,
what we're
man.
feeling?
That's what I want to talk about. First and foremost, how did we have 2 first-round draft picks with the team that we had last season?
No idea.
Like, how do you? I didn't get it. Like, I didn't think that team was gonna go far, anyways. But then to see them get drafted, Jet and Buffkin, 11th and 15th, like.
There must have been a lot of like behind the doors conversations.
I think there was a general.
I don't know.
I think there was a general lack of chemistry with that team. Like, there were a lot of different styles being played. Like, Hunter Dickinson is a back-to-the-basket center, nothing more. He's not a good transition player. He's not a good transition defender. He's not a good pick-and-roll defender. We've got a bunch of quick guards. Like, Doug McDaniel wants to get out and running. Jet wants to run to the corner, shoot threes. Buffkin's a little bit more slower style, plays at his own pace. And they never really gelled as a team. And, like, we were better when Jet got hurt toward the end of the year. I think this year I'm kind of excited to see how the offense looks without Dickinson. I don't know. They might not be good, but
right. And like, who is? I couldn't name you the starting 5. I mean, Cheddar gonna? You know what I'm saying?
It could be Cheddar. I think it'll be Doug at the 1. The 2 will either be Jalen Llewellyn back. He got hurt last year early, or it'll be Namari Burnett transferring from Alabama.
Oh right.
The 3 will be Cheddar or Terrence Williams the 2nd back for more.
Wait, I think Terrence can play sometimes.
What? Okay, now that's crazy. All right, now
I do.
Whoa.
I feel like he has. Whenever
someone's got to stand up for Terrence Williams.
Someone has to stand up for Terrence Williams.
T-Will, man, he just never had. It always felt like he just didn't know what to do, or like just he never got.
I think
no one let him know.
Well,
no one let him know the playbook. And
I think his confidence was shot by the end of last year.
Yes, I agree.
Because he went from like last 2 years ago to being like decent off the bench, he was like a spot up shooter, to being terrified of shooting the ball.
Oh.
He looked like me playing JV. Like, oh my God, if I make a mistake, coach's gonna pull me out of the game. And
I think there was always a lot of fear being pulled out of the game.
I think he needs to.
There was a lot of movement. There wasn't a lot of consistency. They tried a lot of different
lineups,
rotations. A lot of rotations. They were putting in people from the bench all the time. I feel like I just felt like overall the team lacked consistency. They didn't have an identity. They didn't know what to do. And you had Hunter Dickinson, who is this name, and I think he was weighing them down. And I'm really excited for them to figure who they are without Hunter Dickinson.
Very ragtag team. I certainly agree. They did have a chemistry issue. And, I mean, who's the backbone that's got to bring that together? I mean, I think the coach, right?
Right.
Coach.
I mean, I think this year,
Coach Howard.
It's going to be a different kind of team, right? Like,
yeah.
We don't have a guy. You can't rely on Hunter Dickinson to give you 20 on post-ups. You don't have, like, the one thing
Could you ever, though, last season?
I think the one thing you could say about Hunter is that you could get him the ball and he was pretty efficient in the post.
Okay.
Whether or not that's a good offense to win you games, I don't know.
It was something.
Well, like, I feel like if this team this year is going to be any good at all, they're going to have to just play good defense. Terrace Reed, I think, is elite defensively at center.
I like him.
I like him a lot.
I really like him.
He's going to shoot like 40% from the free throw line, but he's an elite defender. He's an elite. He can run the floor. And, like, if we're going to beat teams, we're going to score 55 but only give up 50. That's what this is. It's going to be gritty. It's going to be – and that's – I don't know. That's
another thing, too. A lot of the games, I would say maybe 12, 13 games last year, they always, like, came down to the wire. And then you would see Juwan just drop a play, and we're just like – please don't mess this up. Please don't mess this up. And then the play would go, and then it'd be like, what did I just see? And then we'd lose. Like the Virginia game.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of the season, I think Virginia was third ranked, and we were unranked. And it came down to like a few points, and we just can't pull it together, man. I don't understand. I don't. Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on this upcoming season? Do you think they're gonna be interesting? You're someone I see in the student section quite a lot of Michigan games. You gonna be there every game this year?
I mean,
excited?
I graduate in December, so I'll be at the first couple of games.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see, what kind of. I mean, it's new. I'm excited to see what they're gonna bring to the table.
Got some new people in the lineup.
And it's interesting how it's just gonna be a completely different team. Like it's gonna have a different kind of vibe. Like compared to Michigan football, I mean, we've had basically a similar team for the last couple of years, winning throughout. But basketball, man.
Rocky road right now.
Yeah, pretty rocky, but hey, we'll see, man.
What do you think about Juwan Howard at the moment? Like, I think there are some people who see him as on the hot seat. I think where I stand is he has this year. If we struggle, he gets one more, and if next year we struggle, that's it. And there are people who are not as patient as I am.
I remember everybody.
I don't think you can be patient in college basketball.
But who are you going to hire? Like, I mean, we don't have to talk about this, but I don't think there's anyone you're going to go out and get who's going to be an upgrade. But anyway, you can,
No, I think we had I felt a lot of promise with him, since he'd been around the program for so long. Fab 5, obviously. And then I guess, you know what? I think we just oversold him a little bit, where it's like, okay, it's Juwan Howard. We know who you are. We know what you've done.
Yeah.
Now show us, And I think we expected a lot. We expected too much from him. I think that's what it is. We expected, Final Four runs, and we expected just excellent basketball, and obviously remnant of Fab 5 days in the 90s. But
and I think the expectations got high
we oversold them, man.
But that first year we made that run in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, those were mostly Beeline's recruits, but Howard, as the coach of that team, took them. How far did they make it that year?
They went to the Elite Eight?
I'm trying to remember, but regardless, there was a lot of success early on.
Wait, the year they lost to UCLA, are you talking about?
Are you talking about
like
the year? 2018, they lost to Villanova in the championship. 2019,
right, but that was still Beeline.
And then
maybe it was the UCLA year. But regardless, I think
UCLA year was great. Like,
right.
That was
right.
great.
Oh yes, when we lost in the Final Four to UCLA and Franz missed a shot toward the buzzer. Right.
Yeah, and that was like it was so tight at the end. Like we were in that game.
Right.
Like,
it was just.
we were there.
But like now, it's like, I think that's at the expectations high is that okay, we're gonna. You have been in the finals like pretty recently that you're gonna. This is a team that's going to be in the national championship discussion.
This is a championship team.
Right.
That's
and
what we thought.
We haven't. I don't know. I mean, part of the thing it does fall on Juwan is that we haven't really had any recruits develop and what Beeline was really good at was recruiting like 2, 3, or 4-star guys that stick around for 3-4 years. The Isaiah Livers of the world, the Eli Brookses, the Muhammad Ali Abdul-Rahmans. Those are the guys who build you a program, as opposed to a guy like Caleb Houston, Jet Howard, who Caleb was terrible for us. Jet was a little bit better, but they're here for 1 year and then
gone.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I thought
you gotta
I
mix
really
that
liked
in.
Kobe Buffkin. I thought he was going to be here for a little. I thought he was going to stick around, and he showed a lot of promise, I feel like. And
I mean, he made a jump last year.
Yeah, he made a jump, and I feel like he left a little too soon for himself and for this team, personally.
Yeah, I mean, there's just too much of an incentive, right? I mean, if I'm good right now, I can't tell the future. I mean, I don't really blame. I mean, Jordan Poole left his, he only had one and done, and look at him now.
I think Poole played 2 actually. Right?
Did he play 2?
I think because the year he hit the shot,
he blew up. The shot was his.
The shot around the world.
Right.
Rob
He might have played 2.
But regardless, but even so, is
it's a risk.
He didn't play
it's
much
a
as a freshman.
No matter what,
yeah,
leaving your first year is always a risk.
Right.
Like when you're good, like when I'm good, like I mean I gotta take the risk and go to the NBA because if I stay here, then what if I tear my ACL and it's all
right.
over, So
and you want to go get a contract.
I don't really blame people. I don't blame players for leaving their freshman year after their freshman year is done.
I don't know. I'm excited to see how this team looks this season. I don't know if they'll be good, but I think they're going to play an interesting brand of basketball. And
agreed.
They'll be watchable. I'll watch them.
They'll be
I mean, the offense could be disastrous. I mean, there's no one who's going to we don't have a scorer in a sense. Doug's taking a jump, says Mr. Owen Klein from the sideline, and that is very possible. But we will see. I think it's going to be a team that's going to have to, as I said, win 55-50. That's what it's going to be. They're
Agreed.
not going to score the ball in bunches. They're not going to shoot the ball particularly well, but they're going to have to have a defensive identity. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
It will be interesting.
Yeah.
And I just do think that, like, this post-Hunter Dickinson era will be interesting because he has been, like, the root of the program for the last, like, several seasons. And so, it's a new chapter, and it's a fresh start. And I think that having the same coach is good, and hopefully they figure out some consistency, figure out a strong starting lineup. I mean, they never had did they ever have the same starting lineup, like, 3 games in a row?
Nah, man. Compared to injuries and
it's moving around. There's a
lot
of moving parts. A lot of moving parts. Yeah.
But it was a good time. And so you're a big student section fan. You're there a lot.
Hey man, I love going to the games. I went last year. I went to almost every game. I just enjoy watching basketball, even though it's Michigan basketball. I don't. Yeah.
Chrysler's so much fun. That's a great stadium.
I like Chrysler a lot better than I do the Big House. Maybe that's a hot take.
No, I
that's
agree.
I agree.
I think
it's quieter. It's a little people there want to be there. Like you're going to Chrysler because you want to watch basketball.
Because you want to be there. Exactly. I feel like the Big House, like.
You don't think people that go to the Big House don't want to be there?
No, I can go on a rant about this if you guys want, but I think most of our fans have no idea what's
happening.
I think most of our fans have
be there.
no.
I've
they
been
want to
with
be there
people-
because it's a social thing, and they're supposed to be there because we go to Michigan. You're Big Ten University. You're supposed to go to a football game and have tailgate Saturdays for fun. No one knows what's going on in the football game. Maybe that's
No. Whoa. I'm on the same page.
You might
be cooking. I think Alex is cooking on the air right now.
I think we were talking about this too, about how like when you watch a game live and especially when you're intoxicated watching the game.
What?
Like, I mean, you just don't know what's going on compared to like a commentated game.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
like,
I've been with people.
Like, when you're watching commentary, you can kind of like follow. It's easier for your brain to follow. Whereas when I'm watching the game live, it's just like I gotta really dial in to the game.
Yeah, you either know or you don't. But yeah, I mean, I've been with people who don't even know the rules of football, like.
But they have a fun time.
But it's fun,
that's
and
the
it's
point.
agreed. But that's why I do like Chrysler, because like, you're there, you actually know what's going on. It's more about the game and less about the idea of the game.
It's more intimate since there's less.
It's more
people.
intimate. It is definitely more intimate. And like, I've even been to volleyball. I've been to volleyball games at Chrysler that like had really big turnouts and were a lot of fun. And, it's also really nice because you see a lot of, like, locals come around and you realize, like, oh, Michigan sports is also, like, a really big part of this town's identity and this town's culture. And you see kids there a lot and, like, it's a lot of fun. And, I do agree that the Chrysler vibe is a good vibe. And everyone should, go support all the teams there for sure.
No, I'm excited about the women's team Well, I
like the women's team.
I think they're going to be worse than last year, too.
Why?
Because they lost Leah Brown, they lost Emily Kaiser.
Facts. I forgot that they were like fifth years.
Who's gonna replace those? I mean, Felia's still around. She's gonna score the ball.
Great.
There's the transfer in. There's a couple transfers in, but I don't know. I'm curious to see how that depth chart.
Those were too big. I mean, Leah Brown and Riley
out,
Kaiser were also leaders of that team for a long time. Like
yeah.
That's what's really fun about women's basketball is like
people stick around.
They stick around and like. So there was definitely like they had some crazy chemistry, I thought, and even when they weren't on their shooting, and even when they weren't like they would take a lot of shots, wouldn't always make them. Some games they were hot, some games they weren't, but they had a lot of chemistry and like they moved as a unit. I personally thought every time I went to one of their games. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's part of college. People graduate.
Yeah.
And so you gotta bring in the new people. Gotta bring in the recruits.
Hey man, chemistry's a big thing. And
chemistry is a big thing. And so hopefully our men's basketball team can find some chemistry. That would be fun.
Right. I mean, if they stay more than a
minute.
I mean, there's only one freshman coming in this year, so it's gonna mean.
It's gonna be a lot of the same, which I think is good.
Yeah, and next year I think there should be a lot of continuity.
Yeah.
You're not gonna lose that many guys, but. Yeah.
I certainly haven't given up hope.
No, I haven't either. I think there's reason to be
here. Definitely not.
Reason to be optimistic.
I think Jawan still can pull things together.
Yeah.
I think that
he's a great coach.
He's not. Yeah, I mean, he
Maybe.
gets a lot of hate, and it's fun.
Maybe
making jokes about him.
I like Jawan, but I don't know if as like a scheme coach he's proven much here. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe his biggest weakness has been as a recruiter, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, man,
I feel like we are all holding on to this idea, perhaps.
Well, I think we need to see someone I mean, we just have to see this roster develop. Like, I'm really excited about, like, what Terrace Reed could be in a year, what Doug McDaniel could be in a year.
Terrence Howard?
Terrence Williams?
Terrence Williams?
We'll see what Terrence Williams is.
Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, of course. I love talking basketball.
Thanks
for having me, guys.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
We're going to do a little
pleasure.
rotation now, so thanks so much.
We'll get both of them on.
All right. What are their names? Who's coming on next? Yeah, come on.
Thanks for coming. See you at the IM. Getting a little rotation. I think we got 2 guests coming on right now. I see a Colorado Buffs shirt and a Denver Nuggets shirt. They have assured me that they're actually from Colorado, so they're not bandwagons. Luckily. You can take this red one right here. Sit down, introduce yourselves, and we'll go from there. Whatever you guys want to talk about.
You go.
I'm Henry Chapman, Denver, Colorado.
Perfect.
I'm Gabe Hedelman, also from Denver, Colorado.
Awesome. So I see the Nuggets shirt. I see the Buffs shirt.
Yes, sir.
It's football season. Your thoughts on Coach Prime, your thoughts on the Buffs?
I mean, I think he's doing big things for CU in general, and especially the football program. You know, a lot of hype going into the season. Don't know why we were projected only like 2.5 wins, but, you know, I think easily getting past that and hopefully getting a few more coming up.
Such like a culture icon there now too. He's
Definitely.
like turning into an Allen Iverson type figure in college football.
I saw, I think it was Mike Greenberg on ESPN. He compared what Prime's doing to the Fab Five, like from a cultural perspective, which I think is a great comparison. Thoughts on Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders?
Dude, actually, last weekend I went up for the CSU game, and I like randomly stumbled upon like the CU team walk into the stadium, and I got to dap up Travis Hunter on his way in. It was pretty crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I also saw like Offset.
Also, Wayne was there, right?
Yeah,
was. That's awesome.
Yeah, another just icon. Travis Hunter gonna do big things. Tragic injury, but he'll be back.
So that was a rough hit for sure.
I don't know. It's cool seeing like Colorado sports in the limelight these days with like obviously the Nuggets, Avs a year ago, and now CU like making a splash in college football. It's like I feel like at least growing up, I wasn't used to Denver sports being about all that much. But I mean, besides like the Broncos championship in 2016 or whatever.
Yep.
So it's fun to finally have someone good to root for.
How long do you guys think Prime stays in Boulder?
That's a good question. I mean, seeing all those things, he said he's not going anywhere, but hard to imagine he doesn't get some big offers coming up. Hoping he stays for the next, few years. Definitely transform the program and get a good foundation before he goes, hopefully.
He knows better than me, so.
I think he fits well as a college coach. I can't really see him coaching pros, just like his personality.
Yeah.
I think he connects really well with the youth.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a role model, too, for
sure.
a lot of these guys, growing up. And they look up to him, and getting to be around him and learn and develop from him is definitely good as college students.
Definitely. And I think, in my opinion, Colorado football is the biggest story in sports right now, period. Other than maybe Puka Nacua, who's going absolutely insane. But it's so fun to watch, and, every game is must-see.
Yeah.
After that TCU game, I was like, all right, Nebraska game, I'm on that.
Yeah, might have to leave the Michigan game early
Oh,
tomorrow to watch the
I don't blame
CU game.
Yeah. So, okay, you guys are Michigan students. You're from Colorado. Tell me about your Michigan fandom, because Michigan's got a good football team.
Michigan has a great football team. My dad went to grad school here, so I grew up supporting Michigan and liking Michigan.
Nice.
And obviously, it's fun being around CU and getting to go up there on occasion, but it's totally different. I feel like there's such a huge culture around football here.
Yeah.
Which hasn't really been the case at CU until this year, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, what he said, it's just it's a lot different.
It's definitely different.
Yeah.
I grew up here. It's definitely a very historic culture. A lot of the staples of Michigan football are hundreds of years old. They're very, very old. But what I like about Colorado is it's a very new, modern kind of cultural thing, which is so fun to watch for me. Especially when you have Shedeur, Deion's son, and then you have Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball. This is something I've never seen before in college football.
It's definitely it seems more like a movie type scene over there than an actual football program, which is cool. It's makes it must-see television.
Definitely.
Yeah, might transform the sport. Who knows? You know,
I think it will.
More two-way players. You know, more of these guys getting some like media attention. You know, it's pretty cool to see.
We'll see if Travis Hunter goes to the draft. Is he eligible after this year? Because he played at Jackson State, right?
Yeah, I'm not totally sure, to be honest. But yeah, I think also Shador. You know, I saw something that, you know, like I think it was like Mel Kiper or whatever. He said like if he stays another year, he could be #1 pick, like in the next draft. Right now, they say he might be like a first-round pick. You know, top 5 QB or so. We'll see.
Who does Colorado play this weekend?
Oregon.
Right.
Yeah.
This is where it's gonna start.
Well, top 20 matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where it gets real. And then
Without
USC.
Travis Hunter too.
Yeah, without Travis Hunter.
Utah later on, like it's a rough schedule.
They do got a good schedule.
That's the other thing about Michigan versus CU football. We have like every game up until I guess Penn State, but not many entertaining games.
Oh yeah.
But CU, it seems like every game's you're watching all 4 quarters.
Yeah, I'm more excited to watch CU than I am Michigan. Like, honestly, it's just the non-conference is just like so sluggish.
Yeah.
It's just like boring to watch. We'll see though. Rutgers is what 3-0, 2-0, I think. So we'll see what happens. Beginning of Big Ten play should be fun. Harbaugh's back.
Yeah. Free gym.
I guess free gym. Self-imposed suspension. I don't know why we're throwing up the 4s. Like we did that to ourselves. But great. Okay, predictions for Colorado, Oregon this weekend.
You know, as a Buffs fan, I'm gonna say I'll go CU by a touchdown.
There you go.
I don't know what the exact score will be.
I have CU covering the spread.
What's the spread? It's like plus
21.
Plus 21. They can cover, I think. Is that in Eugene or is that in Boulder?
Eugene.
Okay, it's gonna be tough.
So yeah.
Oregon's always been like a little shaky though. Like they're not unbeaten.
I mean, I don't know. Like you said that like CU's getting so much media coverage, like top story. I don't know if you saw like on like ESPN and Sports Center yesterday, they were showing like practice clips like of the coaches playing Oregon's like fight song like at practice as if like that's not like a common thing.
That's ridiculous.
Some of it's a little ridiculous, but you know, some of it's warranted.
Yeah, I mean they had Big Noon and Game Day there, and I know like those two they keep track of where each other go, so they like don't overlap. But it's crazy.
Yeah, I think they had Big Noon back to back, or
maybe it was Game Day.
One of the two. Yeah, I think it was Game Day back to back weeks. So a lot of attention.
We can, if you guys want to, we can transition over to the Nuggets.
We have dinner reservations.
Oh, you have dinner reservations.
We do.
Thank you for coming, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Go
you.
Buffs.
Go Buffs.
Go Buffs.
Appreciate it.
Yes. Take care, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you, guys. Yep. So we are, when did we start? 5? So we're an hour and a half into the show. We hope you have all enjoyed so far. We've got a little bit of a break, it seems. We get Alex Miller back on the mic. Kendall, do you want to hop in here? Come on in here. We'll get Kendall in on the mic. Dan or Alex, if you want to join, I can take this one.
Yeah, go out there. Go explore.
So
go up to anybody in a sports shirt. Actually, don't do that, because one time I went up to someone in the Union in a New York Rangers shirt. I was like, "Are you a hockey fan?" And he was like, "No." And it was ugly. It was like wasn't even like a good look, like a nice vintage shirt or anything. It was like the current Rangers logo. It was just like it was blue, and it was like one of those really cheap Fanatics T-shirts. And I'm like, why did you do that then?
That's a New York City souvenir item for sure, would be my guess. Rangers logo is pretty cool.
Maybe like 10 years ago.
Okay.
When like Henrik Lundqvist was still like the best goalie in hockey, one of the best players in hockey. Definitely not now.
I feel like the equivalent of that is like a Michigander wearing a Tigers hat. They might not know anything about the Tigers, but that English D is very iconic.
But I feel like the English D is iconic.
Not as iconic. I mean, yeah. The Rangers, what is
it's
it?
Like that's more like a Yankees cap. Like, wouldn't you?
True.
Yeah, I was in.
Well, I wanted to stray away from New York.
I was in London this summer, and my favorite game was if I saw anyone in a Dodgers or a Yankees hat, what was the odds they didn't speak English? Or like that they were not a fan.
That's a great like
that they were not a fan of that team, and they were wearing it because it's famous. And
yes.
Like I didn't hear a single New York accent from anyone in a Yankees hat.
I saw a fair amount of Yankees hats abroad as well. I think it definitely is like a cultural American icon. Oh my gosh, that guy just stepped on the M. That's interesting.
I think he's old enough. No.
What's the rule,
offense
students? I don't even know
meant.
the rule. I've stepped on it
think
multiple
it's
times.
like you'll fail your first blue book exam, but I've already taken it, so like, am I good?
Yeah, you're chilling. I
Am
think.
I
I've
good?
also
Like-
already took my first blue book exam. It might reset each semester. That's the incentive to not step on it. But I've danced on that thing. I mean,
I
no.
don't-
Oh my goodness, he's really trying to get some bad karma right now.
Maybe he just doesn't know that
Might
it's
not
bad.
know. He's marking his territory.
So what can we talk about here for a bit while it's just us? What do we
Um,
got?
We can honestly just do a little bit of a recap of this show. This is our first time doing it. We think it's been a lot of fun. We've gotten a lot of engagement. And it's just great talking to people that love sports, and I think this is a great forum for them to talk about what they want to talk about. And right on cue, we have our next participant here.
Just come around here and sit down on that chair. Grab that.
Welcome. You're welcome to join us.
How is it going?
It's going great.
I see the football in your hands. I'm going to
Yeah.
need to know what that S stands for on your sweatshirt.
It's for my high school. Guess
Very
who
nice.
went there?
Ooh. Give me some context and I can guess. Where is this high
Michigan
school?
quarterback.
Tom
That wasn't-
Brady.
That was JJ.
Yes,
that was
Tom
Brady?
Brady.
Very nice. Dan, can you tell us that high school? Do you know what high school that is? Brady went there.
No, I
Oh my
can't
gosh.
tell you
We have a
what
lot
that
of
is.
a lot of Maryland fans here. You guys are probably Michigan? We just got pulled up on by the rugby football team. No, the
From
Maryland
Maryland.
rugby team. Maryland rugby team. Telling us about their match tomorrow. That's great. If one of you guys want to come on after we're done here, we're going until 7:30. So let us know.
They have They have
So is this
curfew.
okay? Is this sports radio?
Yes,
This is sports radio.
Sports radio.
What major are you guys?
I'm a sport management major.
Okay, I'm a sports management as well.
Very nice.
But I'm winter start.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry, our poster's
Yeah,
falling
yeah.
down and it's
Alright.
giving me.
So you want my sports takes?
Tell us your sports takes.
Yes.
What's on your mind, man?
Well, I'm more of an NFL fan than
Perfect.
a college fan.
I like that.
I say I'm a Steelers fan, so
How's that going
my
for you?
take is that
What are
the
your thoughts on Matt
Steelers-
Canada?
My take. Well, my first take is that the Steelers are the best defense in the NFL,
Interesting.
and then
It's a little fire take.
yeah, no, I just like Matt Canada. I want him out.
I
It's
don't
been-
think anybody likes Matt
It's been
Canada.
a lot of few years of frustration.
I think watching
Um,
Matt Canada put games together could constitute for a method of torture.
Yeah, it's not good.
Najee Harris is hard to watch sometimes. And that Pittsburgh offense. in
Yeah, no,
general.
Jalen Warren is a lot better than
I like
Najee
Jalen
Harris. Just picked him up in fantasy, actually.
Good win against the Browns last week.
Yeah.
Albeit with Chubb snapping his leg in half.
Yeah.
Niners, arguably the best team in the NFL, so I don't think you could sweat that loss too
Wait,
much.
what's your YouTube channel?
WCBN Sports Radio.
All right, I'll check it out. I'm
You
ahead
should check in. You should come to our meetings if you'd like. We broadcast Michigan games live, and we have a daily talk show.
All right, where is it at?
The meetings are right here at Angel Hall.
Okay.
Every Monday.
Okay.
So we can add you to the email list, and then.
Would I be able to? I'm not a Michigan student yet.
Yet?
I start in the winter.
Yeah, you can join in the winter.
Okay.
You could probably sit in on the mass meetings. You probably can sit in on them.
Okay, I can. All right.
We can at the very least add you to the email list and
yeah.
stuff.
Can I write down my email?
Yeah, absolutely.
No one's gonna check your mem card. You're fine.
Here, I'll just give you my notes app and you can just put it in there.
So why joining winter rather than fall?
So, I was on the wait list, and they said I would get a better chance of getting in if I did winter start, and then it's like this program called Sports Management Immersion.
Yeah,
so I just
know what
start,
that is.
Yeah, so I just start in the winter and then go in through the spring.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Michigan.
Yeah, nice meeting you guys.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
you're
head
heading
out.
Okay, thank you for joining. Appreciate it.
Sorry, I'm trying to
No,
put
you're
out
good.
a broadcast fire over here.
No worries. I kind of want to hop on this orange microphone. Do you want to come in here, Dan? I'm going to hop in this orange one.
Let's have some conversation.
Let's have some combos, man. Let's talk fantasy. We have not talked a lot of fantasy.
Put Alex Miller on recruiting, which
Yeah.
obviously is his.
Go talk to people.
Yeah,
Do
Alex.
it.
Alex can go recruit people. We can also take a little bit of a break. Honestly, I'm
His
fine with that as
his
well.
go-to position, but yeah, I mean, if we want to talk fantasy, I think the pickup of the week with Austin Eckler out, Josh Kelly. I imagine he's already picked up.
He
in
was the
many
pickup of the
leagues.
week.
But yeah, big news, Eckler's out this weekend. Apparently Joe Burrow is also likely out this weekend. Jamar Chase said Burrow is not 100%, and he does not expect him to play now.
That's rough for T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, and honestly Joe Mixon owners.
Does Jamar Chase
me.
know about
you? Who do you have?
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase had a tough start to the season.
It's tough. Definitely tough.
It's been really tough. He's getting outperformed by T. Higgins.
Well, Higgins went catchless in the first game. The second game, he took both touchdowns.
I'd say aggregate-wise, he's being outperformed by Higgins, which is not what you want from a guy who is arguably the consensus number 2 pick in fantasy drafts this year.
I don't know consensus, but
he was
very high.
The WCBN Sports draft number 2 pick, and I know because it was mine. So.
Jetta's definitely consensus 1, and he's looking like he should have been.
Right. Justin Jefferson is. You wanted to have that. Who's the best receiver in the?
He's what, quietly the wide receiver 3 through
without a
2 weeks without a touchdown, right?
And an offense that with Kirk Cousins, who does Minnesota play this week?
That's a great question. They play the Chargers.
I think Minnesota wins that game, and
they are home.
I think that's a big time statement. I think Jefferson has a massive game this weekend. I think gets in the end zone, maybe twice. The Chargers are a team that let Tyreek Hill scorch them, which, to be fair, the way Mike McDaniel gets Tyreek Hill open is really creative. He has him kind of down as like a tight end and then motions him out and then runs this RPO that's just cheese. It's like the type of thing you do in NCAA 14. It looks like we've got a guest in here. What's up, man? You want to talk some sports? Awesome.
You want to talk some sports?
So
come around this way. We'll give you this microphone.
Okay. Give him the orange mic. The orange. On the orange.
Oh.
So, tell us just a little bit about yourself, your name, and then hit us with what you want to talk about.
Sure. My name's Aaron. I'm a junior in mechanical engineering here at U of M.
Nice.
Been a lifelong Steelers fan.
Oh wow, we actually just
as well as a Lions fan. Yeah, I heard. I've heard that might have a similar take, but I think Canada's got to go.
Oh, okay.
That was going to be my question. I was going to ask your thoughts on Matt Canada.
So what about?
There's no point dancing around it. Get to the point. That's what the people want to know.
What about the Steelers' offense frustrates you the most?
What not? I mean, what doesn't? I mean, when the defense is outscoring, like, just why aren't we punting the ball on first down anymore? Like, just get the defense back out there.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for injuries, I'd honestly consider that. As long as Canada doesn't see any action, I'm happy.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't watched a ton of Steelers offense.
I can't either. I turned it off every time they get them. No.
You just switch it to the other game until they're back on defense.
Feel bad for Chubb. Hope he's okay.
Yeah, that was a brutal hit. That Browns
yeah,
game.
Don't know what I think about that. As a Steelers fan, I'm obviously biased, but that's another thing. Like the whole NFL rules of going for the knees, and it's a weird, it's a fine line. Don't think the league cares enough to change anything. I don't know if they can either.
Yeah. So what do you think the Steelers' potential is this year?
Depends if they got Canada at the helm. We'll see. I think if Pickett figures it out, excuse me. I think they've got a good chance to do something, but Canada really hinders them. So as long as TJ Watt stays healthy, I think their defense will stay strong. Highsmith had a huge game. I think AFC Player of the Week, maybe Defensive Player of the Week, but he had a really good game. So I'm hopeful, as always. I don't think they'll ever have a losing season. They never have with Tomlin, so I'm hopeful.
So
not too hopeful.
So you're thinking 8-9 wins?
Yeah.
Would be a good
right on the line. Probably save it to the last game too. Really hold us out.
For the playoff.
Yeah.
Push. Just what are your thoughts on Najee Harris? Because I think he's become a popular guy that's like, oh well, he's a Steelers starting running back, big time talent in his collegiate career. Fantasy teams are definitely not happy.
Yeah, that's
Najee
me.
Harris produces.
I drafted him. He was my guy. I was so excited. Read somewhere that he would be a league winner. Not sure why I believe that.
Yeah.
Seen him play for the past 2 years, but I think he got a lot of hype at first because he looks like Derrick Henry. He's a big guy. He's a big back. He can run over you. Don't know if he's ever going to come up to that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty high bar to set.
Might be a little bit closer to Eddie Lacy.
I think he's put some pounds on. You know how it goes. I'm hopeful. Again, we'll see. He's got more left in him. So I think, again, Maybe it's a Matt Canada thing. Maybe it's figuring out how to split time with Jalen Warren a little bit better.
Yeah.
He had a great game the
explosive.
other night, so we'll see how they continue to split. He's currently killing my fantasy team. He's been benched for what's his name, Nuka, the new wide receiver. Yeah, there you go.
Well, yeah, that guy.
I got lucky. I had Cooper Kupp, drafted him first pick in a 14-player league.
Oh wow.
Got injured, and I'm like, well, you know what? There's 2 other wide receivers on the Rams that I've never heard of before.
Yeah, him and
picked him up.
Atwell, yeah.
They have both taken positions on my roster. They kicked out Cooper Kupp and Najee Harris. So
that's amazing.
I got lucky with that one. A little less lucky with Najee playing as he has been, and obviously Cooper Kupp with his injury. But
yeah,
I think fantasy leagues this year are really all over the place. I think Kirk Cousins is the second quarterback right now. I know it's been only 3 games or 2 games or whatever it's been.
Yeah, the Vikings have. We were just talking about Justin Jefferson a little bit earlier, and he's wide receiver 3 despite not scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. And then obviously Nakua's wide receiver 2, and he also has not scored a touchdown yet. Any other Steelers takes? Any Lions takes? I know you mentioned.
Oh, Lions takes.
You also have.
Yeah, definitely a Lions fan. After all this time, man, I have hope.
Yeah.
I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's a little slow, but it's also the Lions, so I can't get too excited. So now at the last moment they'll be like, haha. We're going to lose. Most poor game. But
kind of the Seattle game.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I didn't have a chance to watch that whole game, but I watched the highlights and followed along as I could. And it seemed like it was a good game. It was back and forth throughout.
Yeah.
Maybe not a great game, but.
Yeah, I think the Lions got up 2 scores in the third quarter, early fourth, and people were a little.
They got into turnover trouble, didn't they?
Yep, Goff threw a pick 6.
That's what it was.
That was kind of brutal, but in that sense, classic Lions.
Yeah, we'll see. Actually, now that you mentioned the pick 6, we can talk about Michigan football a bit.
Yeah, by all means.
I'm saying my a little bit optimistic take is that J.J. McCarthy has 1 bad game a year.
Okay.
Last year, TCU threw a bunch of picks.
Mm-hmm.
I know against Illinois when we had that down to the wire Moody. It was the 19-17. I don't know whether I'm going to count that. That was just a weird game in general.
Just kind of
it was very cold, if I remember, and the weather was bad.
I'm going to say that's his excuse for that game. I don't think that was a horrible game. Yeah, I think that was just a mental thing. I'm not going to count that against him, but I'm saying J.J. McCarthy has 1 bad game a year.
Yeah.
Last year's TCU. This year was last week. He's good for the rest of the season.
Yeah. I mean, that's a take. I'd love that for that to be the case. I feel like he gets outside of the game plan, or at least the game plan gets outside of what Michigan's good at, which is running the ball, play action, pro style, very professional level execution, use the tight ends, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And when it's just JJ kind of on the move, JJ doing whatever creative he needs to do, taking deep shots, that kind of stuff, that's where it gets a little bit sloppy, a little bit forced. And I think that's where you see the turnovers.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we saw that TCU.
Yep.
We saw that against Bowling Green last week. Obviously, it didn't matter because Bowling Green is a not elite football team. In
no
the
offense
Division 1 ranks. Yeah, no offense to Bowling Green. But we'll see. It definitely, I'd imagine we'll see a lot more conservative game plan against him, against Rutgers this week. Or maybe not conservative game plan. We'll see a more conservative J.J. McCarthy.
With Harbaugh back, I think we'll see how that changes things. But, you say that, and his unconservative game has led to some inconsistencies. I agree that it has, but I think it also helped him get the job in the first place.
I'd agree.
So if there were those, I'm trying to recall who we were playing, but there were a few just crazy scramble plays. He'd run around for 5 seconds in the backfield, break through 2 tackles, and throw it 60 yards down the other side of the field to Cornelius Johnson for however many 40 yards, because he was 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So I think he definitely has a chance to shine because he's an incredible athlete. But
Do you have a prediction for this weekend?
I expect nothing less than a blowout.
Okay.
I think this team has to come back, show what the hype was all about. That number 1 spot looks like it's up for grabs with Georgia playing as they were the other week.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who are they playing this week, actually.
Georgia?
Yeah, do you know?
Oh, God, I have no idea. I should know. Do you know who Georgia's playing this
Check
week?
with my good friend Google. Who Georgia's playing this weekend, I should say.
Come on, be the hero.
We need you here.
It's probably nobody great.
Anyways, if it's nobody great, they still have a chance.
UAB.
I take that back. Sounds like they're going to take a dub there. Well, the number one spot might be up for grabs after how they played.
According to ESPN, there's a 1.4% chance.
That's
you never know.
Put me on those odds. Nah, won't be losing money like that. But, you know, last weekend showed that they weren't immortal, even though they haven't lost a game in 2 years or whatever it's been.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard they're pretty beat up, kind of across some certain positions in defense, and then some playmaker spots as well. I don't think we've seen the full form of Georgia. I don't think we've seen the full form of Michigan.
I'll have to agree with that.
Which I think makes it cool. And there seems to be some diversity in college football this year, right? Like
yeah, absolutely.
Texas is back. I'll give them air quotes.
Don't say that.
Florida State beat an LSU team, which we'll have to see how good LSU actually is, but that could be a great win.
Yep.
But it looks like it's shaping up to be a bit of a different kind of outlook in college football this year, and hopefully we get a little bit different, because obviously we got all the Clemsons and the Alabamas. Those two teams look like they won't be in it this year, unless Alabama. Suppose they could win out, but that does not look to be the case.
Their destiny is in other hands at this point, I think.
Yeah. Thoughts on the diversity at the top of college football right now, with Alabama not being there anymore, Clemson kind of both taking a step back without
Texas
quarterbacks.
Is on their way back. Notre Dame's
Texas
looking
kind of
good finally.
Notre Dame could establish themselves as a college football playoff contender. Obviously, USC, the Pac-12 is better than people wanted to give it credit for. Obviously, Coach Prime's brought a lot of attention to that.
Yeah.
But like Oregon's a good team. Utah, UCLA just hopped into the rankings this year. So
we'll see what CU, Boulder, and Oregon do this weekend too. That's going to be, I think, a really good game. I know.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter took
a shot.
We can talk about that cheap shot later too. I don't know how I feel about that.
I think that whole game was chippy.
Yeah, I think it was from the get-go.
I stayed up and watched that game because I was kind of curious, and I was up way too late. But I think that it was very chippy both ways. There was a CSU player who got poked through his helmet in the eye.
Yep.
That hit was, I agree, clearly unnecessary. But I don't.
It's bound to happen.
Things happen, and it was just an intense game the whole way. You could tell in that environment both teams really wanted to win. I don't think it was that big of a deal. That's my take. I mean, It was. I think he had what was his injury? A lacerated kidney of some sort, or liver?
I don't know.
Liver was it? So that is serious, and he took a shot.
Oh, yeah,
but
he absolutely did.
To me, it's whatever. It's football. Things happen.
You think it could have been anyone else?
I just think if it was not that game, no one would be talking about a hit like that.
Agreed, 100%.
You think anyone would be talking about it if it was another Colorado player?
Yes, but less.
Yeah.
Hunter has a draw as he's this two-way player. He's a 5-star. He's
easy to hype.
Yeah. And I think, Deion's obviously drawing massive media attention in general, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Do you think they're good? Can we say, I don't know how good they are. Colorado State's not that good of a team, and they played them evenly. They were an even matchup. They should have probably lost.
With a 2-point conversion and a 70-yard touchdown.
Right.
I don't want to say too much because they did.
I think Colorado State played their best game of the season.
They might have. They might have.
And I think that Colorado has things to clean up. I don't think they are the 19th best team in the country.
You think they're better than that or worse?
No, I think they're worse. I think Oregon will.
Do you think Oregon ends this and we are
We'll see though, because are these teams?
We've got to go Irish this weekend.
Are these teams ready to beat Prime? There's a aura almost around
there's a
Colorado
gravitas
right
to
now
it.
That's are these teams? I think it gives Colorado 4 points a game almost, and it's obviously I know Oregon's favored heavily this week spread wise.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a much closer game than that.
But I think CSU came in and was like, we're just gonna make this a dogfight, and we are going to that's what that hit. I think sort of. That was dirty, but it set the tone, and and it got them in it and energized.
Put them in control.
Right, and I my comment about also with Colorado going into a game like Oregon is Colorado's defense did not do a good job against CSU. I mean, they were able to CSU was marching down the field consistently with fairly
with drag routes.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I will say that wide receiver Torrey Horton had a game. He had that sideline catch was unbelievable. But yeah, I don't know. I think Oregon's going to be a massive test. And if they come out of Oregon with a dub, I mean, the hype train's going to go off the rails.
Well, and I think at that point it's not entirely validated, but a lot more. It's like.
But you beat a real contender.
You beat Oregon at Oregon.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
Oregon's
different.
a team with a top 10 quarterback. They've got.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a top 10 team at this
Oregon's
point.
a fringe top 10 team.
Yeah.
You know, and they've got a case to make the college football playoff. If things kind of go their way to win the games they need to win.
Right.
But like if Colorado beats them, yeah, I think it's like shoot.
Yeah.
Let's bring on USC, and obviously, I think if they beat Oregon, the USC game just becomes like this absurdly massive game in kind of the grand scheme of Colorado of the NCAA. With Colorado, Coach Prime getting them to even more of a national level of like, hey, these guys could be in the playoff, 2 of the biggest games of the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think what this all means to me is like you asked me when I got on about like the college football landscape, and what it makes me think about is like Michigan never has a reason to schedule a real game early in the season. Like no contender does. Like what Georgia and Michigan are playing cupcake schedules, like it's almost justified because all you have to do to get a CFP berth is just go undefeated. Like so, why play more real games than you have to? I don't know that, and it's kind of sad because like, and maybe next year when like Michigan plays Texas, that's a real out of conference game, but it seems like there's no reason to schedule those games because you're just hurting your chances of making the college football playoff.
Right. Well, and now that it expands to 12, I think
that changes it.
That
does
quite
change
a bit.
it. Right.
But go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if they kept it at 4, I'd be curious to see what Notre Dame does. If they,
I
mean they do have a lot of control, and if they can pick and choose how it looks and
just gotta
be right themselves
Notre
into
Dame's
going
got
undefeated. Then
a great schedule this year.
Yeah.
It's Ohio State. They play USC. I think they play. I want to say they play Clemson, and then I think they play another ranked team out west. I want to say Utah, but like that's like legit. Those are 4 ranked teams right there. That it's like, all right, we are
more than Michigan's going to play this year probably.
Right. So it's like we're, and as an independent, they're giving themselves challenges to look good for a 4-team college football playoff. And I think we might see that. Do you think we'll see that more with 12 teams? Like, do you think we'll see harder schedules with 12 teams, or do you think teams will be like, just if we go 11-1, we're in, especially if we have a brand name?
I mean, we'll see harder schedules with this whole conference reorganizing any other way. I think that'll really give a shuffle in seasons. I mean, with Michigan playing UCLA, Washington, Oregon, and USC, one of those teams at least, I would assume, every year. Adding in Ohio State every year.
And if Michigan State ever becomes a program.
If Michigan State ever becomes relevant again.
Yeah.
Sorry, little bro.
Could be a couple of years.
Could be a couple
more than that.
years. I mean, how...
Do we think they're going to make a bowl game?
This year?
But regardless, I think scheduling, like, will be interesting. I think it's, like, to me it's kind of exciting that we're playing a team like Texas next year. Like, that's it. Like, going to these early season games, I, like, get up and I'm like, I'm going to go watch us. Like, I think part of, like, it's boring to me to see us drop, like, 50 on East Carolina or Bowling. I mean, Bowling Green actually looked all right for
if you ever dropped
quarter,
50, I'd be happy.
But I just mean, okay, but regardless, these blowout games where we come into a game with a spread of 30 points, and we haven't covered the last couple of games, but regardless, they're not that exciting. You're going to have a couple of those games, but like playing a Texas, maybe Aaron's right about like UCLA and USC. If those teams return to form, I mean, UCLA is pretty good, but I don't know. I just think Michigan is at this point where we're complacent that our only real games are going to be Ohio State and maybe Michigan State and then Penn State every other year. Yep. Maybe if you draw it, Like, can Iowa ever give you a challenge when their defense is on? Like,
Maybe.
Even then, though.
Yeah, I do. I want to, defend Michigan maybe a little bit here. I do believe they had games against UCLA scheduled these last 2 seasons for the non-conference that UCLA then backed out of due to financial reasons, this whole Big Ten stuff. Michigan also, I believe Notre Dame backed out of the Michigan-Notre Dame agreements as well. So that is a big-time, big-game non-conference loss. There are now also 9 conference games instead of the 8 that there were, so one less chance to schedule another opponent. I can't imagine Michigan would schedule Western on top of these 3 games that they already had if they had to schedule another, but maybe they would, right? But thankfully we don't have to deal with that as going forward. It'll be pretty conference-heavy schedules. The Big Ten's going to be a good conference, and the likelihood is that now with the ability to lose 1, maybe even 2 games and make the playoff as 12 teams, you might see some more big-name matchups, some more kind of high-quality blue blood programs playing against each other. So
yeah, I'm excited to see, because every year it's Michigan or Ohio State or Penn State's looking like they might be up, but one of those teams is going to end up in I guess it'll be top 12 this year, but top 4, and they'll be, at least in the past it was top 4, but I guess especially with the addition of those 4 from the Pacific. But it'll be interesting to see, because it's always a toss-up every year. Is the Big Ten actually all that? As Michigan goes up against Georgia, and because he wasn't great 2 years ago, and TCU, I'd give anything to go back to that game. But the fact that it was even close, and this is the best team coming from the Big Ten, regardless if I'm being a Michigan bias at all or having a Michigan bias at all, it's so strange to see these teams in the SEC compete with the Big Ten, and then just the difference in caliber of everything, really. It's just a different game. It's interesting to see Michigan versus Ohio State compete in those scenarios, and I think it'll be nice with the addition of those 4, just to kind of give a little bit of insight before that complete toss-up happens at the end of the year, where you really don't know what's going to happen.
As just of like, how good are these Midwestern teams actually?
There's not much crossover between the SEC and the Big Ten throughout the season of the top teams, because they, again, have those easy early conference schedules, or early season schedules. The non-conference, they don't play each other, which I'm very happy, again, with the Texas. I'll agree with you there, because I think that'll do that. Just that will provide some insight of what the rest of the season will look like, because you'll have those 2 teams to base it off of. So. And
the home and home is cool, because in 2025 at Texas, it'll be Arch Manning's time for sure.
We might have. Do you think it'll be Arch next year?
It could be.
Ewers still have eligibility. How much eligibility? I actually don't know.
Ewers, I think he has eligibility, but I think he also has draft eligibility.
Yeah.
If he keeps winning,
it could be Arch Manning's, time here, but for sure it'll be in 2 years down in Austin, and that'll be.
It's a cool game.
Quite a game. Oh yeah,
for sure. Just like 2 of the biggest brands in not only just football, but just 2 giants.
The college world.
Yeah. So, those will be exciting. Those will be fun.
Yeah. I just wanted to clarify something I said earlier about Michigan scheduling. Is I'm not knocking Michigan. Like, I actually, like, for them it makes sense to not have as competitive a schedule right now, because going to the national championship is exciting, and that, like, it makes it worthwhile. And I think to them that I'm not knocking that. I think it'll be cool that we're playing Texas, and I think the 12-team playoff would be good for that. But, like, it makes sense for these programs now, and that's, like, I get it. Like, I guess I'm trying to say is I'm not knocking the programs for scheduling as they've have been. Like, Georgia's schedule is worse than ours. I mean, it's but
there's no measuring at that point. But I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on.
Yeah,
hopefully
we appreciate
all you listeners
by.
enjoyed my takes. Weren't too bad.
It was a pleasure for sure. WCBN Sports still live from the Diag. We're working on hour 2 now, going 2.5. We're beginning to shut down, but if you're still listening, we have some other broadcasts that are going on. Volleyball, has a big time showdown with Michigan State, I believe, on WCBN Sports. And men's soccer should also be up and running, although we understand there may be some technical difficulties with the men's soccer game. Hopefully we get that sorted out shortly. There is also a field hockey game tonight. No WCBN coverage of that. Big Ten Plus is on that call. But lots of Michigan sports going on. It's alumni weekend here in Ann Arbor. It's a beautiful night for this. I'm glad
it is a beautiful
we're out
night.
here and we're doing this, and just waiting on the next guest to give their takes. But in the meantime, Kendall,
I just wanted to talk on this microphone.
give me the 3 best moves of the NHL offseason and why.
Moves. Here's a crazy thing. I don't remember any of them.
So none of them
Let me get.
I hit you. That was on the spot. 3 best transactions, whether that's coaching changes, acquisitions, signings.
So
trades.
best transaction is hilarious because it started and ended, I think, within the span of one off season, and that is the Columbus Blue Jackets hiring and firing Mike Babcock before he coached a single game for them for invading players' privacy.
Wow.
I'm actually not fully caught up on it, but I think he basically went through their phones.
Oh my.
He is not a good coach. He got fired from his last team for being a weirdo because hockey, I don't know, is very insular. They just hired him again. So let me get that's not really a move, but that's just insane. Let me look some up because I cannot remember any off the top of my head. Because the Blues fell apart during the season, so they traded away everybody, and then none of them came back. Erik Karlsson got traded. That was pretty big. He's a Norris Trophy winner. What is the Norris Trophy?
That's an excellent question. I think as we look for kind of the next.
No, I think I want an answer.
I think as we look for the next guest to kind of come on the show, I'll take some time to think about it. But for those listening, I think they'd like a proper explanation of what the Norris Trophy is.
No, I want you to guess.
Norris Trophy. Erik Karlsson sounds like a defender.
It is best defender.
And so I'm going to say best defender.
That is it. Good
There
job.
we go me. Look at that. Look at my hockey knowledge.
He got traded from the Sharks to the Penguins. The Penguins are an old man team because they refused to break up Crosby or Malkin, which I understand because sentiment, and also it's Sidney Crosby. Yeah. But it means they just keep getting older and older, and this was kind of no exception because Karlsson is good, but he's old. Alex DeBrincat, he's from Michigan, I think. He left the Senators, came to play for the Red Wings. That's a big deal because Senators looked pretty good, and then he bounced. So that's a big deal. Those are 2. That's not necessarily in order. I'm trying to look for good trades and not just ones that are relevant. And the Blues. Hello.
I was on your show, on the sports show on WCBN.
CBN, yeah, with Kellen, right?
Yeah.
It's a great show.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that they liked it a lot.
Did you like it?
Pretty much all of us listened to it. I took your class last year, but I really liked it. I listened to the show. It was great. You did a great job.
Thank you. And what are you guys doing here?
We're just doing a live show basically.
Yeah.
We've been out here for 2 hours now. We've just been letting people come on and talk about sports.
About sports?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have me on again.
Yeah. Well, if you want, we've got a
Would
headset
you like
right there.
Would you like the
or
microphone?
a microphone, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. It can be as long or as short as you want. This is just to create a new social event for us and just kind of expand our,
Are you wearing the Niner hat because you are from San Francisco?
I am not at all from San Francisco. I am from St. Louis. I grew up, like most St. Louisans, I was deeply affected when the Rams left. It took me.
You now
That's part of it. I grew up a huge Iowa fan, and George Kittle was my favorite player at Iowa ever, so I followed him to the 49ers. But definitely a part of it is just rooting against the Rams. It is. I mean, it's on YouTube, so it's not the radio. It's okay. Anybody who's ever heard me on this radio station knows that my hatred of the Rams is well documented. So I'm not putting myself at risk. I've said this before. I did, yeah. I loved it. It's my favorite course I've taken. It was incredible. Like I was fascinated. That's very loud. You could probably hear that.
Yeah, that's we got a boober coming across the Diag now. It's the whole point of doing these live shows. Sorry? Oh. I think it was like 30 or something crazy like that. It might be 24.
24.
24.
Thank you. Nice to see you too.
Thank you for stopping by. That was Dr. Andy Markovitz. He recently just joined our daily sports report. Those are up on Spotify. They're also live on WCBN FM Ann Arbor, 88.3, Monday through Thursday, 6 to 6:30 p.m. He was talking about the sort of politics and the intensity of college rivalries and why they're so prominent in this space. So if you want to listen to that, there's a great DSR podcast. They're up on Spotify. Daily Sports Report, WCBN FM Ann Arbor. And you said you took his class as well.
I did.
Favorite sort of part of that class? You mentioned that it was your favorite class on campus.
Well, I mean, it was all about sports and like purely just about sports. Whereas my sport management classes are mostly about other things. Whereas that one was just sports, which was fun. Hi. Daniel left. You don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm answering a question you didn't hear. What's the Norris Trophy? I'm asking you. What is the Norris Trophy? Take a guess. It's hockey.
It's not the Stanley Cup, so I'm lost.
This is what I'm working with. No one at this club likes hockey.
Some people like. You got William, Owen.
They don't like it like I like it.
Well, I certainly don't like it like
they
you
like the aesthetic. Like they like the game and like calling games. They don't like hockey.
I do not follow hockey, so I'm the wrong person to talk to about these things.
Well, so was Dan.
Yeah.
So that wasn't really helpful anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I never got to my third best off-season move.
Well, you're welcome to.
And I'm going to say it was Kevin Hayes to the Blues because it's funny. It's not good. It's just funny because that man was meant to be a Blue. And those are my three best off-season moves. And now Dan is back.
Yeah, I'm back. We some.
We're having a couple of minor crises throughout this night.
Yeah, it's been an interesting night. We weren't able to get our
We're
board
not. We're fine. Other people are.
For the men's soccer game. Hopefully that's up and running shortly. Big time game for the Wolverines there. Live from the Diag. It's been fun. It's been an interesting experience. If you're listening to this after, please be on the lookout for the next time we do this. So you can come on and tell us how you feel. Tell us how dumb we are. Tell us how smart we are. And have some takes. Have some sports thoughts. That's what we're here to do. Here to give you guys a platform.
There's an entire
like this guy in a Brady jersey.
Unit of people over.
And he's got a phone call. Yes, everybody's wearing their white T-shirts today. I think that's White Lies.
It is.
Which is pretty well documented. I wonder where they're headed. It seems to be quite the social event here tonight. Of course, all of them massive WCBN Sport fans.
They're just really busy.
That's
the only reason. They're clearly at an event. That's the only reason they can't stop and chat.
Correct. But
it's because they're busy.
On the Diag.
Lying down on the ground.
Expectations for Michigan hockey this year. Are you a college hockey fan at all, or no?
Yes. I normally am a very dedicated child of Yost, but I did not get season tickets. They were in my cart, and the website crashed.
That sounds like an excuse.
And it's not an excuse. It's the truth, and they're witnesses.
I mean, excuses.
And it's not my fault that they sold out in 10 minutes. So.
Sounds like child of Yost has grown up and moved on.
Well, I also have an internship, so I can't even go to games anyway.
Yeah.
They are probably not going to be great. I mean, they're going to be good, but they're not going to be
like championship
as
caliber.
good as they've been in the past. But that's mostly because they're. What was I saying?
I don't know. Do you want to? We're live on YouTube right now. Do you have any sports thoughts? You want to talk? You want to join? Get a headset. Yeah. The powerful.
They're getting better. Slowly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, we
if
are.
you want to get a headset or get the microphone or for as long as or as little, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear it. I mean, there's not very many people listening right now. We're
There's
just
a couple
student radio,
people.
so, but it's more just for fun.
Yeah, this is less about the listeners and more about getting people involved.
getting people involved. What's with the
I am
Niners
not.
hat?
Because I don't have a hometown team. St. Louis, Missouri. And then Stan Kroenke fled without going through proper channels or meeting with the team that was meant to build the new stadium. And so now Yeah. And so now I root for their arguably biggest rival. And it brings me some type of comfort. That was
fan.
I did not the Giants held in there a lot better than I thought they were going to.
Yeah. Moody.
Yeah.
Moody's been awesome. He's been money. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like him a lot. Jake Moody's great.
Thank you.
Thanks
for stopping by.
I could
kids.
give a whole DSR explaining how much I hate Stan Kroenke. And I would make Kellen just sit there with his mic muted.
I could do that. Could set that up next Monday. Miller, you want to be there?
I think it's already.
I think it's
signed
full.
up. Yeah,
I think
we're
they're all
scheduled.
full.
Oh, I think we know this guy.
Oh,
Excuse
man.
me, sir. We're gonna need your.
Yeah, get over here.
We're gonna need some takes.
Put the headset on.
Well, I'll give one take for the people.
On what?
Anything.
Are we live? We are live. Okay. Hello and welcome to WCBN Sports on YouTube. All right. Now my big take has got to be, what's my big take, Dan? It is a must-win for the Lions this weekend. Cannot go 1-2 to start the year, especially losing to the Falcons. Desmond Ridder is not like that. He's only thrown for like 200 yards on the season. Yeah, the Lions got to show up, man. It's a big game. They should have beat the Seahawks last week, so big things coming, though. They have a good season coming. They'll be just fine without CJ/GJ.
What about, you see Kirby's out too?
Kirby's also out?
Yeah, so it's going to be Tracy and Melifonwu at safety.
Oh,
How do you feel
wow.
about that?
That's not good is how I feel about that.
Yeah. And then if Melifonwu struggles, maybe what? You put Branch back there and Will Harris to nickel? Exciting?
Yeah, but Will Harris at nickel isn't great. He's a little slow in the back, but that's interesting. I mean, hey, it's extended snaps for Brian Branch, so I like that.
We'll see what we have in Melifonwu.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Fair. All right, Dan. Take it over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was your live from the Diag halftime report with our boy Neil. Thank you.
Adios.
We talked a little bit about the Lions today.
Yeah.
I don't understand the must-win mentality. I mean, I get it because I think it's like I do understand it, but I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm saying because I think record-wise, the Lions are fine. If they'd like to really get in the front seat of the NFC North, they win this weekend.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that they're not gonna win 10, 11 games if they lose.
I think the NFL is just the most dramatic league on the planet.
Well, I think it's
and that every game is a must-win, and we overreact about everything in ways that there isn't in other sports.
I think the Lions just have the most national media attention they've probably ever had. I mean, going into the season, the national media was like the Lions would win the NFC North. We haven't been favored to win the NFC North in a long time. And I think there's a sense that this team's especially after beating Kansas City, the hype train is just climbing and climbing. And to lose a winnable game against Seattle in that fashion, I think, has people panicking.
Well, it looked like classic Lions.
It was very same old Lions. But these aren't the same old Lions. There's a lot of talent up and down this roster. And the division is just so bad that you can start 1-2 and still make the playoffs.
Or win the division.
Or win the division. I mean, I said it on TSR the other day that I think they could go 6-0 in the division. While that's not realistic because playing teams twice and beating teams twice is hard, the Bears are bad. The Vikings have not looked good. The Packers have actually looked better than expected, but I still think their defense is a massive question mark. And I mean, also the Lions are dealing with injuries, which doesn't help. But overall, I think there's no reason to panic about this team.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten a Chicago fan here. With all the noise.
I generate an off-putting energy to them, and they're just avoiding it.
Chicago has had a rough week. Justin Fields comments about coaching, and then you watch his film, and you're like, dude, you don't really know what you're doing right now. And then you've got, I think Alan Williams is his name, their former defensive coordinator. He's gone for good reason. It's a mess in Chicago, and they're at Kansas City this weekend.
I mean, I think with Chicago is their fans got very excited for this season because Fields and the team showed some kind of promise last year.
Shout out Kobe.
But I think what it is this is just a lot. This is a season that they're not contending for anything, and I feel like as a Lions fan, I assumed that was the case anyways. But they're going to have a top pick next year, if not two of. They're going to have 2 top picks because the trade this year in the draft.
They have They have Houston.
Yeah.
Or Carolinas.
Yes, Carolina, because they traded out of 1. Right.
Because Arizona has Houston's.
Right. So, but the Bears are going to have their own pick and Carolina's, 2 teams that are probably going to be top 5 once again. You could get Caleb Williams if you determine Fields isn't the guy. You can, if you determine Fields is the guy, you can get yourself 2 key players on either side of the ball.
Do you think Fields is the guy? I don't.
I don't know. I think he's young, and there's stuff up in the air still. But has he been impressive this year? No. And I think that he looked good last year. For example, against the Detroit Lions, because we just can't contain mobile quarterbacks. But I don't know. I think this season though is more of a tryout season for him than people thought going in. I think going into the season there was a thought that the Bears have their franchise guy and they just got to build this team around him. And now I think the Bears stink right now and have a chance to get a generational guy in Caleb Williams in the draft next year. What do you do?
Well, what do you do?
Trade Fields for a 5th and
a 5th. I mean, that sounds like such I mean, it's true.
That is
I guess Jeff
Trey
Okudah
Lance
got a 5th.
motto.
NFL trades are just
what
weird.
What did they get for Lance? A 4th?
A 4th.
So I think you could probably get a 3rd,
second.
Fields.
Right, but
especially if he puts a little bit more.
But
on
I mean,
film.
if you have a chance.
I mean, he's played more than 1 quarter of football.
Yeah, I just think there's too much. It's now 3 years into this. I guess you could call it an experiment, and I think there's too much negative kind of things for him to have thought about for it to work in Chicago. And they're not going to redo their coaching staff again. So we'll see. But I don't think Fields is the answer. I think Caleb Williams is probably the guy that Chicago should be looking at, especially if the season goes downhill. But if they win 6 games and Fields is great, then keep Fields. I just don't see that. I think they win 2 games and Fields is like.
But if they win 2 games, 22, truly that bad, he's gone. There's no question.
And Fields is like at best the 22nd best quarterback.
Is he even that? I mean,
at best.
How often? What I found interesting about the NFL over the last couple of years is how often do guys like fail at their first spot and have success elsewhere, especially lately. I mean, there haven't been that many examples, but I mean, is Baker really going to be the guy in Tampa long term?
No.
No.
Like, look at a guy like Mitch
He's doing
Trubisky.
too good of a
failed
job
for the
at it,
Bears,
too.
But yeah, he's 2-0. But
Like, because Tampa's like, well, let's try and get Drake May, Caleb Williams.
I mean,
And
I think
now
like the Cardinals are tanking.
I don't.
There's gonna be a fight for the.
He
first
doesn't
overall
want to
pick.
be a Cardinal, though. That's the thing.
He does not want to be a Cardinal.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't come out and say that if it's not clear who the first overall pick is.
I also don't think Kyler's that bad of a medical quarterback. But
I'd agree. I think kind of similar to he at least has some good winning film. I think kind of similar to Fields, he's just gone down a bad path recently.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Cardinals' new coach is kind of re-inspire people there. Gotta have that fire in your gut type stuff. But we'll see. We shall see. That's the beauty of the NFL, is that every week, as Kendall said, there's new overreactions to be had. So
I think that's sports in general.
Yeah, but you don't see stuff like this in like baseball.
I
actually think you do. I'm
Not
I'm a Tigers fan.
not-
Spencer Torkelson played half of a season as a 22-year-old, hit under 200, and people are like, "Oh, he's a bust."
So he played half a season. This is 2 weeks.
You don't think he's a good player?
No.
Why?
That's my.
He's hitting 235 with 29 homers as a 23-year-old.
This is just kind of my thing. I don't have a lot of evidence to back it up, other than
but that's
he
why I'm
went
saying
0 for 5 in one game that I was there. So,
but
is it a
anyway,
joke?
but that's what I'm
Yes,
saying
but
is why I think I don't know. I think fans in every sport can be very temperamental.
But I don't.
about
I
people.
think. But I think Kendall's point is like every game in the NFL gets scrutinized a lot more than every game in the MLB.
That's true.
And I know that's just because there's fewer, but like
And I
there's.
think that's kind of.
Yeah.
That was gonna
It's
be my
still. I
counter,
think
is
just like the sentiment around it too is. It's just so much more like of a spectacle now than anything else is, and we react as such.
Sure.
And also to the man who just yelled "Go Birds" at me. Who did we have at quarterback? Okay, don't be proud of that win.
There is I
Brock,
think.
Brock Purdy's UCL was dangling off his arm like a chicken nugget. Okay.
I think though with the NFL is I think you're right about the lack of games being a big deal. Is like I was talking to Owen about this off the sides before. Is Mike Valeni, who's a local Detroit radio guy, went on air and said the other day that if the Lions don't make the playoffs this year, Dan Campbell should be fired.
Oh.
And that's just, in my mind, a terrible take. Like, they should make the playoffs this year. They should win the NFC North this year and be a massive disappointment if they don't. But to fire, I mean, if you fire Campbell, I think that's ludicrous. And to fire Brad Holmes would even be more ridiculous. That's a massive overreaction. I mean, I think it's, oh no, they lost a close game to a decent Seattle Seahawks team. Like, what are we panicking about?
Yeah, there's no patience anymore. It's all about clicks. It's all about views, listens, whatever it might be. So in that sense, the Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Who are they going to beat?
How do you feel about the quarterback situation?
I don't have a problem with Mac Jones.
Okay.
I think he's a good enough player. I'm not going to say to win a Super Bowl, but he's a good enough player to not shoot you in the foot in playoff games. They just they're in the process of rebuilding right now. And nobody wants to admit that. And it's hard to admit that after 20 years. And it's been a long rebuild, but I think the defense is quite literally 1 year away from being really, really good. And the offense is a draft pick, a receiver, and a tackle.
I do.
Away from being a top 10 offense. Because Jones looks a lot better this year. If you haven't watched any Patriots, which I don't blame you, although they have been on Sunday Night Football, and they were in the 4:25 slot week 1 on CBS. It's been better. It's still too many turnovers, and they can't get back into games, but it's been a lot better, and Jones has looked fine. So
I mean, he also doesn't have that much of a receiving core around him.
His
this
best
year.
receiver is Devontae Parker, and they just spent
way too much.
$30 million on Juju Smith-Schuster for him to be their 5th best pass catcher.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, but it is now 7:30 on the Diag. don't know if you guys have any more takes. I don't even know if anybody else is still listening. If you are, we greatly appreciate you. And I've been given the 0. So, with that being said, unless you guys have anything more to say.
I had a lovely evening.
I did.
I
had
had
fun.
It was fun. We got to get some more. Get some more students on.
My last take is I don't know if anyone talked about this, but Iowa is going to lose this weekend. But I think it'd be funny if they won.
Iowa.
They're playing Penn State.
Oh yeah, they'll lose.
Also, their number one tight end is out, and Cade is still hurt.
Gives a game,
he is out of it.
Cade
you know what? If
best game ever would be like 20 for 25 for 225 and 2 touchdowns
and no turnovers.
Yeah,
well, Luke Lachey is hurt, and that's his number 1 target. So it's gonna be bad anyway.
They're gonna get rocked on Saturday.
They might,
and I'm excited.
I don't know. I've made comments about it before, like that I like Cade, like as a game manager, and he's nothing more than that.
No, and he wants to be more than that, but he's not. So we will now sign off from the Diag. It's been a lot of fun. Alex Miller, Kendall Spencer, Daniel Olson here. We had a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll do it again soon. Good night, and go Blue.